Anthony back there. Is he where's he at? We're really gonna fertilize the flower today. I thought he was gonna play the. You waiting on that song to be done?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. Oh.
He's not wearing
He's not
it
wearing
yet.
it this time.
Yeah.
He didn't want to be delegated to the outside again.
That's right. That's right. We kicked him outside last week. So stop by the Mud Hen. Always a great time here. Great food. And, the beer selection obviously is off the charts. And they have a full bar here as well. So full liquor license here at the Mud Hen. It's not just a brewery. And, of course, great food as always. So we're here till 8 o'clock. And, we'll go over everything with this matchup with the Eagles and the Giants. And it's kind of weird because last week we were kind of talking about a
week before last.
Week before last, you're right. Week before last because the Eagles got the bye for that win over the Giants. We were talking about the same matchup, and it was much different But
it was a lot different because they were playing. I don't know if you got an opportunity. I know you skedaddled out of here right after the show, but I got an opportunity to watch the game, and I saw a lot of what I call false bravado from the Giants,
right.
because they felt like their twos were keeping up with our ones, and I don't think they realized we were just trying to knock the rust off of our starting quarterback who had been out for a couple of weeks, and we didn't want him knocking the rust off this week.
And it almost seemed like the Eagles had almost like a preseason type game package in.
Yeah, it was the funniest part. The funniest part about that game was the kid, from Detroit that they got, the receiver. He caught his first touchdown pass as a Giant ever, and and they were over there high-fiving and showing emotion and stuff and acting like they was actually winning or actually doing something.
Right.
And it was just kind of funny to see.
Although it did come down to an onside kick that the Eagles had to recover at the end.
Yeah. And the funniest part is when you look at it, I think they think they have a chance to win. It's like I don't think they remember the first game.
Right.
The first game of the season, we played them and they
48-22, and it wasn't even that close.
It wasn't even that close.
Right.
It's a different type of thing going on now. I feel like our guys are ready to show and prove because we've been doubted all week long. I don't know if you paid attention, and I said this on one of the other first time I seen you and met you. This is the most disrespected 14-3 team that I've ever seen.
Right. Yeah, there's because a lot of people already believe that San Francisco is the favorite in the NFC now.
Well, no. See, I've heard even worse. I heard the NFC Championship game is going to be Dallas and the Giants. That's what I've been hearing. So it's one of those things to where people actually count their chickens before they hatched.
Yes.
And it's like they said he's been playing so good. They're talking about Daniel Jones playing so well. I think he's only had a couple of good games, and it's like it's been sporadic. It's not a consistency there.
Well, he's had 3 good ones in a row, so he's going to have a real good 4th one in order for his team to have a chance. So the game tonight is on at 8:15. It's on Fox, so they get the primetime game, and so they'll get the obviously all the games are national.
Right.
But when you're on that Saturday night game, this is a big viewership night, and the Eagles are going to want to show well.
Well, yeah, not only that, everybody's done with all the day games like you've been to, and it's time you're on prime time. The whole neighborhood's watching.
Yes. So we're live at the Mudhen Brewery in Wildwood, and we're here till 8 o'clock, and we've got Anthony, a Giants fan, behind the bar. You can boo him.
Boo?
Yes.
Boo Anthony, yay Kenny.
I think
Boo Anthony, yay Kenny.
Kenny, I think, is the only Eagles fan who's behind a bar here tonight.
Kenny.
You got Bobby Zeus, who's been exiled to the back bar. He's a Raiders fan.
He's a Raiders fan.
Did
you know what he had the nerve to ask
me? His season ended in September.
Oh, yeah.
So
Did you know what he had the nerve to ask me as soon as I showed up? He's like, "What are you going to be doing next week?" I was like, "You've been doing nothing for the past few weeks."
That's right. That's right. All right. So right now the Jags and the Chiefs are playing, and it's tied at 7.
But guess who scored first in that game?
I actually didn't see it.
The Jags scored
first.
I was sitting there with the young guys from one of the local high schools, and we looked up and Kirk was going in for a touchdown. I was really surprised that they scored this early in the game.
Yeah, so that game's 7-7. I believe they just had the first play of the second quarter. Kansas City has the ball, so we'll be following that as we move along here toward the 8 o'clock, the 8:15 start with the Eagles. We're on the air until 8 o'clock. The one interesting thing with Kansas City, Hollis, and you might not be aware of this, but we have a South Jersey guy in Isaiah Pacheco who went to Vineland High School. Who's one of their running backs, and went from Vineland to Rutgers, and now he's with the Kansas City Chiefs. So a lot of people know that name down here in South Jersey.
He's actually a pretty tough runner.
Yeah, and let's face it, for Andy Reid, a lot of times the running back gets lost.
Well, you have the enemy running the offense, so the running back gets a little run, especially when they drop in coverage off, and you have the two high safeties. They're going to be running the ball.
Right, yeah, and he does have 3 carries for 21 yards right now. But that game again is tied at 7, and we may have a turnover here. Maybe I'm not sure.
It looked like it slipped. That slipped.
Yeah. Okay. So they called it incomplete. And Kansas City's attempting.
He should have won the tuck rule.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Attempting a field goal. I know you love getting into the stuff with New England. You know the cheaters.
hey,
you were part of that.
Tuck rule. Well, actually, one of my buddies, William Thomas and Eric Allen were on the Raiders team at the time when the tuck rule came into.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. In the snow.
Yeah, in the snow. It was horrible.
Yeah.
It was a horrible call.
Yeah. So again, live at the Mudhen. Stop on by. Make sure you come say hello to Hollis. He's I know
watering the flower.
He's a big man as an ex-NFL player, but he's the friendliest guy you'll ever meet. Come say hello when we're a commercial or whatever. He'll be happy to take a photo, sign an autograph, say hello, and he'll certainly have a longer conversation with you if you're an Eagles fan.
Yeah, if you're.
Because I do see a smattering of Giants stuff in here. So.
Well, you expect it. We're close to Jersey, but we're close to the New York area.
Yeah,
so,
and we get a lot of North Jersey down here on the weekends and stuff, and in the summer. So.
Yeah, we're gonna have to start pushing them around.
Yeah. So, what are your initial thoughts here? With this matchup with the Giants, and it is kind of a strange scenario in that the Eagles played against a lot of their backups 2 weeks ago in their last game, and now you're seeing that same team for the third time. What are your initial thoughts with all that going on?
My initial thoughts is our defensive line versus their young offensive line. Their offensive line couldn't catch us. So we got 7 sacks when we played them early in the season. We got 7 sacks. We had Daniel Jones was on the run. He couldn't set up and do anything. I think the difference maker is us stopping the run.
Right.
Stopping the run with Saquon Barkley this time because they were resting him the first game we played him because they wanted to get into the playoffs. So it's going to be interesting to see, but I think our guys up front, our guys up front on both sides of the ball, but mainly the defensive line, what they do to keep the Giants off the field and how they harass Daniel Jones and shut down Saquon Barkley. I'm looking for Hargraves to have one hell of a game because he was snubbed for the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
I don't know how you get 11.5 sacks from the interior and you're not in the Pro Bowl.
One of the things that's, when you're playing in January in Philadelphia,
right?
It can be the weather, but the weather doesn't look like it's much of a factor. It's going to be probably in the mid-30s when they kick off. I don't think much wind, no precipitation, so that's about as good as it gets in Philadelphia in January.
Oh my God! It was like I think we played some playoff games, and it's been really cold. One of the playoff games you had to play, I know they had to dig us out actually even to get the game going. So this is actually some great weather that we got going. It's real football weather.
This is obviously a much different time than NFL players are used to playing. So what's that like? I mean, you do that on a Monday night or a Sunday night game. But normally you're playing at 1 or 4 o'clock.
Right.
What's it like when you wake up in the morning and now you have to wait all day to play football? What's that like?
And actually, you know what? The funny thing is you have to plan it out the day before. You want to sleep in and sleep a little bit longer so that you don't take that proverbial nap in the afternoon, which will make you tired for the game.
Right.
So normally I skip breakfast and I sleep in. Then I go to they have a brunch style lunch, and that they give us. I would go to that, and then just kind of just like relax up to close to game time. Because if you a lot of times you don't want to play the game before the game is played. And you'll find yourself doing that, playing it over in your head, again, especially throughout the day because you have all that time to sit around and do nothing.
So when you say you would go to a brunch, was that provided at the facility? Like what time would you get to the stadium for a home game at night?
Well, normally they have us stand in a hotel.
Oh, really? Even the night before a night game?
Yeah, the night before a home game. Right. The night before a home game, but I don't think they have the guys doing that anymore.
Right.
So but that would normally be provided by the hotel. So that's what I used to do. I think I probably would just wake up late and have brunch and chill out a little bit, then go to the stadium and basically go through, I call it my Thursday ritual. Thursday is one of the longer practices in the season.
Right.
So you want to get yourself primed and ready. You want to heat yourself up, do the contrast first, and then the last one, make it heat up and then get taped and stuff. Because you don't want to peak too early.
By the way, for the people that might be watching the live stream on the 98.7 The Coast Facebook page, You better explain your flower power here.
My flower. Oh, you don't remember when Nick Sirianni
Yes.
was saying he was.
Well, I just wanted you to explain it for the people.
So we were doing a Denver trip, and some of the young ladies from the Bird game, they got all of us. Everybody had a flower, and I was like, "Hey, where's mine at?" They was like, "Don't think we forgot you." And so I've been had it since Denver of last year.
Right.
And so whenever I see the guys getting away from the basics, I always put my flower power back on because you have to fertilize the flower to get the guys back on track to kick and run.
Well, you remember when Sirianni was hired, he let's just say he didn't win his initial press conference.
No.
But he's certainly proven himself since. I mean, he's turned out to be a darn good NFL coach. What are your thoughts on him so far?
I had the opportunity to meet him and talk to him in person. He's a great guy. He's a real competitive person. And I think that's kind of like what you want, especially as a player. You want that type of person at run the team. He's even keeled. He's a straight shooter, and that's what you need.
I know you're just not a fan of his choice in defensive coordinators. We'll talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Yeah, that's like I've had it out with a few people who was like, we'll rank this or we'll rank that. I was like, you don't give up a 15-play, 75-yard drive to Andy Dalton to start a game.
Well, and then the we talked about the what was it, 3rd and 22 against Dallas? What was it?
3rd and 30.
3rd and 30, and they gave
30.
up a first down.
And not only that, he's had some other press conferences that have been, I'll say laughers. He recently said that if he didn't drop Hassan Reddick so much, he would probably have 25 sacks.
So then don't drop him.
Exactly. So
yeah, and
watching him closely, it's some head scratching defenses that he plays, and while dropping a guy who you should have rushing the passer, but not only that, not making concessions to contain the quarterback, and then the quarterback leaks out the side that you dropped the defensive end from, and throws a touchdown pass or throws a first down pass. Yeah. It's demoralizing to the entire defense.
Yeah, and you want them, if you're going to get beat, you want to get beaten by, you want your D-back to get beat.
But you want to get beat because your coach doesn't know what the hell he's doing. you don't want that. Our defense has been flourishing in spite of Jonathan Gannon. So, I mean, hopefully he gets a head coaching job and he's no longer our problem. But and the other part too is like he's talking about he's not going to change what he does. I was like, you better. You better. You can't give up drives like that, especially in the playoffs. We cannot afford to have our defense stranded out on the field for long drives and long periods of time in the playoffs. Teams are better. They score more often. So all that bend but don't break crap, we need to cut that out.
All right, so we are live at the Mudhen Brewing Company in Wildwood, right on Rio Grande Avenue, as the gateway into the Wildwood, so to speak. And we've got a nice crowd here already. We expect it to pick up as we get closer to game time. I'm Brian Caniff alongside the star of the show, Hollis Thomas. This is Reality Check, the Ultimate Eagles pregame show. We're going to take a break, and we'll come back with more right after this on 98.7 The Coast.
Oh, sorry. Hey.
I did email you like an agenda this morning. I don't know if you saw it. I got it right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I bet I'll pull it up.
Yeah, it's all right. We doing something? Are they doing something with tickets? Tickets. course,
I was talking to somebody.
I know you were. That's okay. The craft beer that I know you like that Hero.
The Hero Boy,
Hero
with a whisper of cinnamon.
The whisper of cinnamon, I know.
Yes, I think
they're a spokesman, I think, for Hero Boy now.
I think they kept it on just for me. I appreciate that.
That's right, because that's a seasonal,
yes.
Isn't it? Yeah. So, all right, so, we're live at the Mudhen. We're here till 8 o'clock talking all things Eagles-Giants, and we'll talk about some of these other games as well. Obviously, Kansas City and Jacksonville playing now, the Chiefs leading 10-7. We'll talk a little bit about some of the games that are being played tomorrow as well. So, Hollis, you mentioned this at the top, but about Daniel Jones.
Right.
Flash in the pan. Well, a lot of people will say, it's Daniel Jones versus Jalen Hurts. Well, it really isn't. It's Daniel Jones against the Eagles defense,
right,
and Jalen Hurts against the Giants defense. So I got to think that you believe that the Eagles have an edge in that matchup at the quarterback position.
Oh yeah, they have an edge because he's a lot better decision maker. If you look at it, sometimes Daniel Jones will hold the ball like way too long, and then he'll decide to run. I think he's doing better. But I think Jalen makes quicker and better decisions, and he's more decisive.
So you have, you do have two running quarterbacks and two rather large men at the quarterback position that can run. That kind of makes them a little different than a lot of the guys around the league.
Yeah, it makes them a little different. But I think Daniel Jones is a little easier to catch, especially with our defensive front. Mm-hmm. If you look at it, we sacked him 7 times.
Right.
He was trying to get away, but we wouldn't allow him to.
Well, we talked about this last time too, but. I think a lot of us realized just how fast Jalen Hurts is when we had to watch Gardner Minshew run around for 2 games.
Yeah. I know the particular play you're talking about. If it's the one I'm talking about, when he decided to keep the ball,
yes,
and he still got ran down.
Yes. When it looked like he had acres of space ahead of him, and 2 steps later, there was nothing there.
He was running in quicksand.
Yes. Yes. So, your thoughts on Hurts with the shoulder? I mean, the Eagles are going to keep all that close to the vest. No one knows really, is he 100%? Is he still hurting a little bit? I mean, how much of a factor do you think that is? Or playoff time, he's 100% and he's ready to go?
I don't think he's totally 100%, but I think you play with a level of pain each and every week throughout the season. It says pain tolerance is what you learn to deal with, and I think the reason why he played that last game was to see the level of pain that he would have to play through. And I was glad to see him come out, and he had some good passes, but he also had some bad passes that were bad decisions. So you take that. I take that with a grain of salt, but I'm not worried about his pain.
Yeah, he didn't. You just alluded to it. He didn't have his greatest game, but it looked like the ball was coming out of his hand okay. Though.
Right, and even after he injured it the initial time, he still was able to throw some passes. There's going to be some pain there. It's kind of like, you remember the movie The Program? Mm-hmm. When James Conn asked Omar Epps, well, are you hurt or are you injured?
Oh, yeah.
He's like, well, what do you mean? If you're injured, I can't use you. Right. If you're hurt, that means you can still play.
Well, and there's a lot of guys hurt at this time of year, and having that bye is huge.
Yeah, it was huge. It helped us out a lot. CJ's coming back. Hopefully, if Vontae Maddox come back, but no Sweat is coming back. It's like, we get a lot of the guys that we weren't able to play with down the stretch. Lane Johnson's coming back. It's like and our quarterback is also coming back for a second outing.
Yes, I think the only key guy for the Eagles that's out might be Vontae Maddox.
Vontae Maddox,
I think everybody else is.
Yeah, everybody else I think is on track. Not only that, Dallas Goedert is back as well. Mm-hmm. He came back the last few games, and I'm glad he got that rust off. I'm looking for him to put them on notice, because that was an element, while he was gone, that was an element that we were missing, which caused us to struggle a little bit.
Yes, and how much does that good pass-catching tight end open up things on the outside for the receivers? What's the difference when you have a guy like that?
But the funny thing is, I was talking about this with somebody else. We were talking about putting A.J. Brown, inside. I was like, if you look at the route combination, sometimes you'll see A.J. Brown running routes up to the middle, because we have the ability to have Dallas Goedert out on the edge already, and they run routes that have them out in those areas, which opens it up for everybody, because who are you going to check?
Right.
And then if you decide to just play coverage, we'll thump you in the mouth. We got the 3-headed monster back there: Gainwell, Miles, and the giant killer, Boston Scott.
Yeah, we'll talk about him in a little bit. And let's face it, we all know in football that the great equalizer is the turnover battle.
Correct.
And the Eagles were terrific at that. Their turnover margin was off the charts through the first 10 or 12 games. It wasn't so good late in the season. And I got to think that that's one of the big keys. If the Eagles don't turn the ball over, they should win this football game.
Yeah, if they don't turn the ball over, I think the real key is what is Jonathan Gannon going to do coverage-wise. Are you going to run some man coverage and get the ball out of Daniel Jones' hands fast so that you force him into mistakes? Or are you going to run the same bend but don't break crap that we've been seeing most of the season, and people have been just like overlooking it because we have great personnel defensively. We run the defensive line at people in waves, and it normally tires out the opposing offensive line, especially with the young guys that we're about to play. But at some point, you have to quit playing checkers and start playing chess. It's like if you look at when we run zone defense, we stink at zone defense. It's like every time we're in zone defense, we give up a 3rd and 30. We give up a third and forever.
And it's not like the Eagles don't have the personnel to play man-to-man.
Exactly.
They do.
And we have some guys that are ball hogs too. And that's like I don't see why we're not utilizing them.
All right, so we're live at the Mudhen Brewing Company in Wildwood. I'm Brian Caniff alongside Hollis Thomas, 14-year NFL veteran. And, when you look at playoff time here and now you've had a week to sit and buy,
right.
and you got your rest and a few days off and whatnot. What's it like as a player now as you get ready for this game and you haven't played for 2 weeks? All the sweat and everything else and hard work and the pain that you've went through from July all the way through the season, and now you're ready for your first playoff game.
Dude, it's like right now you've had an opportunity to lick your wounds and stuff and rest and get ready for this moment. Everybody doesn't get the opportunity to have their bye week and be able to get healthy. Not only get healthy, but it's sometimes when guys are playing hurt. And it's like they're able to have a week off and not have to play on that injury and get some quality treatment on it. It's like we should see the team that we saw early in the season.
How much of a difference does last week's Giants game make, if any?
They were playing against Kirk Cousins, and if everybody who knows me knows that I think Kirk Cousins sucks. I'm sorry. It's like
and Minnesota's defense is certainly not as good as the Eagles.
Yeah, no, they're not world beaters. Minnesota's defense was giving up the rhythm. But if you look at Minnesota throughout the season, they did this at times. They played the Giants down to the wire last time, and you thought that they weren't going to have a different game plan and run it a little bit differently just so they could get the edge. It's like they did exactly what they needed to do to beat the Vikings. The Vikings have been fugazi the entire year.
How much does because I know this goes on, and I don't know how much it's talked about, but okay, the Giants know that the Eagles quarterback has an injured shoulder.
Yeah.
How much do they go after that?
All the time.
Yeah.
He's not my quarterback.
Right.
I say you hit him at they'll probably get some 50-yard penalties for landing on him as well. Because that's what hurt his shoulder last time.
And that wasn't penalized.
And that wasn't penalized
right.
either. It's like, but he was running the ball at that time.
Yeah, true.
It wasn't in the pocket.
That's true.
So it's going to be some pocket times where they're probably going to Leonard Williams is probably going to land on him.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's one of those things where they'll make concessions and take that 50-yard penalty if it gets your star player out of the game.
Right. So that the Kansas City leads Jacksonville 10-7.
Yes.
In the second quarter. So
it looks like they're marching again too.
Yeah, and it was just a roughing the passer penalty, something that we just alluded to. Oh
yeah, well, not really.
No,
it was yes and no.
Yeah, he kind of led with the head.
He let when you put your head down.
Yeah.
And you got to remember the official is standing behind you. So when he just sees your head down
right.
and sees his head pop back, he's thinking that you gave him some chin music.
But
they took him out of the game.
Oh wow, yeah. What is the difference? What is the difference? Because I think those rules were those rules changing as you were a player.
Well, you know,
or was it after?
They started changing as a player.
I mean,
when I first got there, you could take a step and knock the crap out of the quarterback.
Right.
But I think I want to say 97 or 98, when they had all the starting quarterbacks were not even playing, and you know they wanted to protect the quarterback more, so they stopped They stopped the one-step thing.
How hard is that when you're in the trenches in every game and you're battling against these 300-pound behemoth men, and you're working your backside off, and then you're a little split second late to the quarterback and they flag you. It's got to be difficult.
Well, if you're a split second late, they're not going to flag you.
Right.
But it's times where you're eons later, you know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's like, and the one thing I think that you have to start doing is be a team player. You know you're late. You know he doesn't have the ball anymore. Mm-hmm. It's like it's a dumb penalty, and you know that they're protecting the quarterback. If you know that they're protecting the quarterback, why hit him when he doesn't have the ball anyway? And not only that, now if you hit him, hey, if you land on top of him, now it's roughing the passer.
Right.
Where are you supposed to land?
Yeah, it's football.
Yeah.
Okay, so with Jalen Hurts, and you may have fans, sitting and thinking, okay, we have a young quarterback, we're going to be good for a long time, but how important is it, especially when you're set up as the top seed, you get the bye, all the playoff games will be at home up to the Super Bowl, to take advantage of the opportunity, because you don't know what's going to happen going forward, and you have a terrific opportunity right now.
Just say Dan Marino.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know the Dan Marino story. He ended up playing against Joe Montana in his first, was it rookie year, right?
Rookie or second year?
Rookie or second year, but you
never got back.
Yeah, you never know when you're going to get back up. My rookie year, I was able to go to the playoffs that first year. Didn't see him again for about another 4 or 5 years.
By the way, sorry to interrupt you, but Anthony behind the bar has his Giants jersey on now.
I'm not even going to give him the satisfaction of looking in his direction.
He's got that Giants jersey on now.
Boo Anthony. Yay, Kenny. Yeah. Yay, Kenny, boo Anthony. The Green Knight rules. The Blue Knight sucks the big one.
And the NFL today with the quarterback is different, because the Eagles' opportunity right now is that they have Jalen Hurts on a rookie quarterback before he's going to get paid.
Yes.
And they were able to build depth. You're going to lose some of that when you have to go pay him. So this really could be you never know, this could be their one window of opportunity.
It is a window. I don't think it's a really small window, because you got A.J. Brown for a little while. You got Devontae Smith for a little bit. And you still got Quez Watkins on a rookie deal. You've already sold up Dallas Goedert. You got your offensive line sold up. But then you also look, we were able to finagle a first-round pick out of somebody.
Yeah.
So you continue to build through the draft while you have your quarterback like he is. But you also, when you need somebody, it's somebody out there that you truly need, and he's going to put you over the top, you still have enough money underneath the cap to go and get him. That's the one thing that affords you. But once you have to pay him, it depends on what Jalen wants. If Jalen wants to be like the Flaccos and the other guys who, when they get the big contracts, you don't have nothing around you. It's just you. Right. It's you and the makeshift offensive line. Then like that.
As the way people feel about him, I know a lot of people they run hot and cold with the guy. But Brady kind of did that. He left a little money on the table.
He did that. Well, I'm not how to go. I commend him for doing that.
Right.
There's some things that he does that I respect, but it's also some things that he did that I despise. But that was the one thing that he did. He wanted to have a good team around him, and you can't have a good team paying everybody peanuts. Nobody's going to come there. It's like, so you have to build through the draft well, and the thing that I like that we're starting to do is when we train a player and build them up, we're not letting them go.
Right.
And that used to be what it was. We'll build them up, and all of a sudden we'll see them, flourishing for somebody else.
We saw that a lot when Joe Banner was in charge.
You think?
Yeah. And that was when you were there.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
He's not a well-liked guy.
Yeah, and he let, I guess the two biggest ones was he let Reggie White and Brian Dawkins walk. Or no, Dawkins was after that, right?
Dawkins was after that,
yeah. But let Reggie White walk.
It's a few other ones in there that you don't know. Like he let, after having 3 straight seasons of double-digit sacks, he let William Fuller go.
That's right. Yeah.
And then tried to replace him with John Harris. I'll let them marinate.
Yes. One of the worst first-round picks in franchise history, I guess.
Right, there you go.
Yeah.
But it was.
But I don't think he ever played for anybody again after the Eagles cut him. Did he go to?
We didn't cut him. Remember, we traded him.
That's right.
We traded him to Green Bay for one of their first-round picks, and then we cut him. Because he stunk.
Yeah, one bus got traded for another.
And then
Yeah.
I think John lasted maybe a couple of games, and I think he ended up in Denver, and then nothing.
And then the other one that was, and I know he played a few seasons with the Eagles that I think about that you just brought this up, was the offensive lineman, Danny Watkins. Remember he was a firefighter?
You mean the firefighter?
Yeah.
The old firefighter?
Yes.
He
was like 26 years old when he came out of college.
It's like you're going to look great beating up on kids.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know if you watch King of Queens.
I don't. But I know the show.
Yeah,
I know the show.
So
yeah.
the episode where Kevin James was coaching Little League football.
Okay.
And so the kids weren't listening to him. So he went and got his uniform and was playing running back and was running all over them. That's what I think of when I think of Danny Watkins playing in college.
Yes.
Almost Chris Winkie-esque.
Yeah, yeah. That's right. He was old when he came out. Yeah. All right, so this is Reality Check, the Ultimate Eagles pregame show. We are live at the Mudhen Brewing Company in Wildwood. And stop on by. We've got a nice crowd here now. We know it'll fill up a little bit more as we get close to game time. There are 4 good TVs with some nice sight lines. You can see the game. Everybody's in here kind of watching the Jags and the Chiefs while they're enjoying their food and drinks. And they've got a great menu here and the craft beer selection and a full bar and a full liquor license. It's tremendous.
A liquor license? You know you have to have that to sell liquor, right?
Yes.
So I just always assumed that they had a liquor license.
Well, but the thing is, a lot of brewing companies only have beer.
Oh.
So they have the full liquor license here. That's the difference.
So this is special, like the Hero Boy with the whisper of cinnamon.
Whisper of cinnamon. So while Hollis takes another sip and has a whisper of cinnamon.
Yeah, I'm going to give another one. Yeah. Shout out to the Henderson family. The twins are over there. They're not paying attention right now. Sean came up here with his family, mom and dad and the whole shebang and the whole family. They came out to say what's up to us.
Yes, and we always love when. And again, while we're on break, come on over, say hello to Hollis. He'll be happy to sign an autograph, take a picture, whatever it may be. Send your kids over; they'll get a kick out of it. All right, we'll be right back. This is Reality Check, the Ultimate Eagles pregame show. 90. in Wildwood. Brian Caniff alongside Hollis Thomas, and many of Hollis Thomas's adoring fans as well. So we're happy to be here at the Mudhen. And Hollis, they sat us among the people today.
Yeah, they said they wanted to get a view of Anthony back there in that daggone Barkley jersey.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, and it's not Charles Barkley.
No, it's not Charles Barkley, son of an onion.
Yeah. So
I did get an update from my brother.
Yeah.
Thanks, Pops. He said that they on the play that he got sacked on, they fell on his leg, and he was limping pretty bad.
I just saw a highlight of it. Yeah. He got twisted up under there a little, pretty good, and it looks like it could be one of those high ankle things.
Ooh, I hate that.
Who knows? But
I hate that. I had a high ankle sprain. It's brutal.
But Chad Henne comes in and goes 5 for 7 for 23 yards and a touchdown pass.
Oh, cool.
So
at least it's not Chase Daniel.
Gardner Minshew.
See, just the mention of Chase Daniel was like,
That's right. Yeah.
Go Birds, baby.
Go Birds.
Yes.
All right, so we're at the Mudhen Brewing Company in Wildwood, and we're here till 8 o'clock. Eagles and Giants up at 8:15 on Fox tonight.
And it was a quick question. It was so in my time in Philly and just roaming amongst the fans and tailgating and whatnot, I found that some of our Eagles fans hate the Giants more than they hate the Cowboys.
Yeah, I find that hard to believe.
I found it hard to believe too, but it's a distinct. No, it's like because I was a buddy man. It was a buddy man, and I was like, he's like I can't stand the Cowboys, but I hate with a passion the Giants fan. I was like,
I guess everybody's different.
Right.
I guess for me, it's always been you hate Dallas so much.
Everybody hates Dallas.
Yeah, how much hate can you have for everybody else? So.
Apparently there's an equal amount to go around.
There's enough to go around. There's enough to go around. There's certainly a lot of hate and discontent among the Eagles fan base, among all division opponents.
Yes.
So Eagles defense, Hollis, franchise record 70 sacks, and that's really been the catalyst for them this season defensively.
Well, when you look at it, when our offense is churning the way it's been churning and putting people behind the 8-ball, they're going to have to pass. And when they have to pass, we've been hitting it with waves of pass rushers. We're the first team in NFL history to have 3 guys in double-digit sacks. One of them didn't make the Pro Bowl.
It's actually 4.
It's 4?
4.
It was I thought somebody was just right on the cusp.
No, so you have Reddick, Brandon Graham, Hargrave, and Josh Sweat.
Oh, Josh Sweat's got 10?
Yeah, 11 actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So we got 4.
Yeah. I think they're the first team in NFL history with 4 players with double-digit sacks.
Yeah, because it was,
Yeah, so.
But when you look at that, just picture this. It's like, say we have the way we have the rush that we have, and we're playing against a team like that throws 66 times. I'm just throwing that number out there. You know that's what how many passes Tom Brady threw, right?
Yeah.
So just think of how many times that we're affecting that guy. Because we're just talking about sacks. We're not talking about pressures.
Right.
We're not talking about hurries or quarterback hits. So it's like in order to get a sack, dude, it is brutal. I didn't get somebody just sent me the video of me getting my first sack. My first sack was against Kerry Collins versus the Carolina Panthers.
Not necessarily fleet of foot Kerry Collins.
Well, no, and it was. I called it a cheap sack because I just chased him and he couldn't turn around and throw the ball.
So he fell down.
No, I chased him out of bounds.
Oh, okay, good enough.
Yes, it was good
counts.
enough. And so, but the funniest thing is when I got back to the huddle, I was playing with William Fuller at the time.
Yeah.
William Fuller. So the entire game, Kerry Collins had every time somebody got close to him, throw the ball, just throw it away. And so then William Fuller's like, the one time you hold on to the ball, your little fat ass gets him.
That's awesome. So in today's NFL, with the way the rules are, with they're so you cannot touch a receiver now.
Right.
I mean, you can't put your hands on anybody.
Right.
So to really play defense in the NFL and have a good defense, you absolutely have to get to the quarterback.
Yeah, you have to. Well, that's with any system. A lot of people wonder, how do you build a championship team? It's called. We used to break down the huddle after each and every pregame, and we said line, because that's where it starts. It starts up front. Nothing happens without us. Whether it's defensive or offensive line, That's how you build a championship caliber team. You get all the bells and whistles and all those skill players that you want. But if you can't, if nobody can block for them and keep the other team away from your QB, it's no good. But the key to having a tremendous DB is pass rush, and they'll tell you that all the time. It's like if you make a quarterback make a quick decision, and pressure bust pipes.
And most of us know the answer, but it's good to hear you talk about it. The ability, and the Eagles have done this for the most part this year, the ability to put consistent pressure on the quarterback without having the blitz.
Yes, that's especially when you're playing against a really good quarterback. It's not so much when you're playing against the Daniel Joneses of the world or the some of the guys who stand statuesque and don't make quick decisions. But when you give those guys time, because sometimes we play against an offensive coordinator or a head coach that knows that his offensive line kind of sucks, so he'll make concessions. When I say concessions, they'll leave a bunch of people in the block. So it's 4 against like six or 7, and you're not going to get there. That's the only problem I have with Jonathan Gannon is being so vanilla all the time.
One guy I wanted to talk about was Hassan Reddick.
Okay.
He 16 sacks.
Man.
And
he's gotten
a lot of
he's
gotten a lot of accolades, but it's really I think he's underrated still. It's one of the great seasons of an edge rusher in Eagles franchise history, don't you think?
Yeah, it's one of the greater seasons, and it's just kind of the way it happens too. It's like because nobody really was paying attention. If you go back a few games, nobody was really paying attention to what he was doing, and he did it on a consistent basis, week in and week out. He was there. He was the man. It's like I just don't like the way he was deployed at times with the dropping. Why am I dropping this guy?
Right. So he's kind of an interesting career story too, because he grew up right in the Philadelphia area.
Yes.
South Jersey guy, went to played at Temple.
Mm-hmm.
I think he had some injuries. He had one real good year. He shot up the draft board, and then Arizona selects him and actually turns him into an inside linebacker.
Yeah.
And he was not playing well. And then there was an injury. They moved him to outside linebacker late in the year. He ends up doing some good things. He signs a 1-year deal with Carolina and has a great year. And now he's one of the best players in the NFL.
Now he's home. He's come full circle. And when you look at that, you love to hear stories like that about guys who didn't just give up because what they had you doing. You really knew it didn't suit you.
Right.
That's like because it's a different playing middle linebacker is a different animal. That's like you the lateral speed and the dropping into the coverage. If you like to hunt, you like to hunt. That's what the D linemen do. We hunt quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
As a player, I hunted quarterbacks and running backs, and then I catch a couple of receivers coming across the middle too. But that's a whole other story.
That was fun. If you could get one of them once in a while.
I get a bunch of them. I even tackled Randy Moss.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
On a quick slant route, it was funny. He's like, I just got caught by a D lineman. Yes, you did.
Yeah. Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Is that what he said when you tackled him?
Yeah.
That's great.
I started to say straight cash, homie, but when you look at what Hassan Reddick has done this season, it's nothing less than stellar. Especially when the guy who controls the plays that you run says that if I was not dropping him, he would have 25 sacks. How do you say that out loud?
Right. Even if you're thinking it.
Yeah, even if you think
because everybody had the same reaction. Well, then don't drop him.
Exactly, because 25 sacks will put every team on notice. And not only that, it's like we were talking a little bit earlier in the conversation about what he does. They have to make concessions for him now. So those running backs out the backfield, they're not always going to be there because they're going to have to stay in to try to chip them.
Yeah. So it's one less receiver going out.
And then sometimes they'll use a tight end, or some teams, like I fully expect the Giants to bring in the extra offensive lineman to try to neutralize our pass rush.
Really?
Yeah. And I love watching the antics of Brian Dable. I don't know if you saw. It's a couple of games that I watched that he was coaching, and he had a specific play for a specific situation. And each time he's done this, either the offensive lineman, the extra offensive lineman he's added, either has jumped off sides.
Yes, I saw this last week. He did it at one time.
Yeah. But it's been like that for like the last part of the season, and they hold, get a holding penalty. So it's like he gets pissed, and it's like somebody's like, why is he so bad? It's like because they've probably been working on their play all practice long.
Yep.
And now you cannot use it anymore.
Yes. So getting back to Reddick, you know, I know you didn't go through this, but there's guys that do. Mm-hmm. You end up playing for your hometown team, and it's a great story and everything, but there's also a difficult side to that. I read a piece this week. He was trying to get enough tickets for everybody that wanted tickets. I mean, there's got to be an issue. I mean, it's great, but there's some drawbacks too. Can you speak to that? You probably played with a guy or two that might have been from Philly, did you? Well,
no. Well, it was Keita Crispina and Joby Hamilton. Both of those guys were.
Yeah.
But I think by the time when they got there, I think they had made concessions with, look, I don't make this type of money. I'm not going to buy everybody a ticket.
Right.
I was like, but the one thing, like when we played against St. Louis, I did have to get a bunch of tickets. It was one time. Yeah,
Missouri.
Yeah, Missouri. And then I played for the Rams for a few games. One of my last seasons.
Right.
But at that point, it was like, I'm not buying no bunch of tickets. But with him, it's a little bit different because he's still in the prime of his career.
Yes.
So he grew up here. So there's other people that he want them to come see the finished product. Because it's like now you want to show those people what the work that they put in with you and helping you out and getting you along what it was. But sometimes you have to say no.
Yes. Do you know him personally at all?
Yeah.
Seems like a great guy.
Great guy. He's a great guy.
Yeah. I mean, everybody. When you're from this area and you see this guy come here and do that, I mean, the fans love him.
Yeah, exactly. But I've got the opportunity to go. They do the alumni rookie dinner. And then
you talked about that before, yeah.
And so, but also I've had the opportunity to go over to some practices and stuff and meet up with him because they have him doing two things. They have him meeting with the linebackers and with the DN. So I was laughing at him. I was like, he's like, I know you would just like to play DN. He's like, tell me about it. But but a lot of the guys like him, Kobe Dean, Jordan, all those guys, they're really great guys. It's like, and they give a damn about each other. That's the one thing that I see that they're a true team, and they have one goal about. I think everybody on there is trying to win the title. But you also have some of the guys from the last championship team who knows what it takes. So I feel like this is a great mixture of that. And it's like you want to. I can't wait to the game. That's all.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
I didn't want to go into a long dissertation.
I understand.
About the guys and how cool they are and how cool. Thanks for letting me hang out. Yeah. Thanks for letting the old guy hang out with you.
All right, we're live at the Mudhen. Hour one's just about up. It's incredible. So Mudhen Brewing Company here in Wildwood.
Hero Boy.
You got another one?
With Whispered Cinnamon.
Whispered Cinnamon. So I'm Brian Caniff alongside the star of the show, Hollis Thomas. We're here till 8 o'clock. Stop by the Mudhen. Come in, say hello to the bartenders and the servers. And,
not Anthony, though.
Not Anthony.
Say hello to Ask for Kenny.
Ask for Kenny. Ask for Kenny.
Kenny's the man.
That's right. All right, we'll be back. This is Reality Check, the Ultimate Eagles pregame show, live at the Mudhen on 98.7 The Coast. Brian Caniff alongside the star of the show, Hollis Thomas, 14-year NFL veteran. And
I was some people from one of my trips. We was in Dallas. I don't know if you remember when we went down there and got throttled. It was one year we went down there and got throttled, but
I do remember that.
Tornado like hit everywhere.
Yeah.
I was just they got called in it, and so the hotel that I was staying in, I had just made it back from tailgating, and so I was watching the game. So all of a sudden it's like, who's throwing rocks at my window? And it was a tornado just came and it just like,
really?
Then the lights flashed on and flashed off, because the hotel I was staying in had a backup generator. But then I was sitting in the lobby, and everybody from the Holiday Inn down the way was coming to our hotel because all the windows got blew out. So it skipped like our hotel, but it hit theirs.
Wow.
It was like, oh, dude, it was like it was a tornado on the field and outside. That was a game that they beat us pretty bad.
I forget how many years ago that was, but I remember
it's been a few, yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
I think it was one of Jalen's first starts.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it was one of his first starts.
That's right. That's right. All right, so we are live at the Mudhen. We're here until 8 o'clock. Eagles coming up at 8:15.
Yes, go Birds.
And go Birds. The halftime of the early game today, and Kansas City leads Jacksonville 17-10. But
any update on the injury?
Well, one of the big things is that Patrick Mahomes did not finish the first half due to a leg injury. I'm not seeing anything online that's saying anything about his status, and obviously we're watching the game here, but there's no sound on. So they did. What I am seeing is that they did X-ray him, and they were negative.
That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything because
sometimes you would just rather have it break.
Yeah, you could have a torn ligament that doesn't show up.
Sometimes you would just rather have it break.
Yeah,
sprains and strained ligaments. They're so hard to come back from, especially during the season.
Yeah. So, we'll see what happens with him coming up, in the second half. But the Jaguars kicked the field goal right at the end of the half.
So 17-10.
17-10, they trail Kansas City. And we're going to talk about tomorrow's games in our next segment. One guy I wanted to get to, Hollis, was James Bradbury. Cut by the Giants basically because of a contract dispute, really.
Right.
And he signs a one-year deal with the Eagles, and
has been flourishing.
He's been very good, and he certainly has made himself more money, I would think.
Yeah, well, especially in free agency too. We have I don't know if you checked. We have 18 guys who are potential free agents next year.
Yeah.
I think we're 39 to 40 million under the cap. So I think we got 2 first-round picks. So we should be pretty cool, and we should be able to sign some guys. But I think he's earned himself, not if not with us, then with somebody else, a lot of money, because he's been handling business all year long, and sometimes when you get a player like that, you try to figure out, well, what's the catch? What happened? And then you figure out that it was about money, and they didn't value him the way he valued himself.
Well, it certainly helps to play opposite Darius Slay.
Right.
Helps to play behind a dominant defensive line that we talked about. But Bradbury has allowed the third lowest passer rating in the league with a minimum of 50 targets. And he's also got the third most pass breakups in the NFL. So I don't think there's any question, especially, he was a guy that was kind of brought in late.
Yeah.
And he jumped right in, and he's been productive all year.
Well, I think I don't know if you were like me. I was saying we need to do something secondary wise, because we got rid of what was the guy who we had the previous year? Stevie. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
But it was a defensive back. And
you put me on the spot.
Deepest apologies. It's not on the spot, but we needed to move on from him and get somebody else to solidify help try to solidify the secondary. Not only did we do that in getting Bradbury, but also getting CJ. And a lot of people, I think one of the more unsung people on the defense is Marcus Epps. There's a lot of people, and I love Blankenship too.
I thought he's been up and down. You like him now?
Reed's been up and down, but he's not the starter.
Right.
So it's like Blankenship has got up and down. He got injured, but he's got an opportunity, and he's flourished in his opportunities. The person that actually also surprised me in our secondary was Kavon Wallace. He's actually doing a lot better now, because initially everybody was thinking that, out of Clemson, we got a second coming to dog as safety. It's like, no, don't put that pressure on the kid. But he's actually been a nice pleasant surprise as well.
C.J. Gardner you just
He's a
mentioned
beast, yes.
Johnson, and you know he just got back and extra couple weeks to rest. I mean, you got to think he's going to be raring to go tonight.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he wants to add to his interception total of the season, or just start adding to his playoff resume. It's like, is he in the last year of his contract as well?
Believe so.
Right. So it's going to be some guys out there. I think that's the beauty of our squad as well. It's because we're built to win, and we're built to win now. Because you have guys who are fighting for that next contract, so you don't get that lame duck year where they start feeling themselves a little bit. Mm-hmm. So.
One of the storylines tonight, we touched on it a little bit at the top, but you know, Anthony the bartender's boy, Saquon Barkley. He's had some of his better games in his career against the Eagles, actually, even though the Giants have not had a lot of success. Go ahead.
No, but when you look at the success he had, it's like, what do you want to do? It's like you're not going to come back unless you have the lead already. You're not going to come back and win with that.
With a running game.
And it's got to be consistent. He may hit us here and there with one long one, and then get a few consistent runs, but they don't really lead to points. And that's pretty much what has happened in the past. Now with the different coaching staff and a different way that they're deploying him, those days are pretty much gone. But we still have to corral him and still make them know that we're still the Eagles.
Well, yes, and I think that this is one of the paths that I see that the Giants could pull the upset. Would be Eagles turn the ball over.
Where did you pick up that dirty
I'm just saying, if the Eagles turn the ball over and the Giants can run the football. I mean, the Giants do have the number 4 rushing offense in the league. The Eagles are only 24th in the league against the run. So,
I'll just tell you this part right here.
Go ahead.
You start with Nick Gates, John Feliciano, Mark Glowinski, Andrew Thomas, and Evan Neal. They suck. They're pigeons. All of them are pigeons. It's like when you look at it, you have to look at what we did to them. But then you could go to the last game. They were able to do some things, but he was still on the run. Daniel Jones was running for his life still. And they let Saquon Barkley get off on some runs that was run outside. It had to do with the good receiver blocking, and I feel like we got guys on each and every level, and we should not allow that.
Well, speaking of which, the one of the weaknesses for the Eagles over the last few years has been the linebacker position, and they seem to have really solidified that this year.
with TJ and Kazir White, and then not only that, we failed to mention that Kazir was coming off of an injury as well, and he's had time to nurse that sore ankle. So I expect to see big things from our linebacking core as well. And not only that, Nakobe Dean, I'm hopefully see he gets a few more plays. I know I was impressed with his first 15 plays. I don't know about you. Nakobe Dean, when his first 15 plays, I think he had like three tackles.
Right.
Yeah. So
yes.
He was handling business. I just like the overall makeup of the team in general. We got a lot of depth, especially the defensive line. When you can deploy your defensive line in waves at an offensive line, especially a young offensive line. And I explained this to somebody one time. It's like when you're an offensive lineman, you say it's kind of a chess game between you and a defensive lineman across from you. Mm-hmm. Then when you think you have this guy figured out, you look up and it's another number, somebody else. That's what we have the ability to do, and he's good as well. So we have to dictate to them.
Well, that's the thing that the Eagles seem to have done over the last few years, is that with the defensive line, is that not only do you have, there's depth there, there's a ton of depth there.
Yeah, well, we haven't even mentioned Ndamukong Suh or Linval Joseph.
Right.
Yeah, or Milton.
Right. And these are guys have been around.
Yes, and guys have been around. And it's made, if you look at it, it's also up the production of Fletcher Cox. He has a renewed sense because he doesn't have to play 60 plays. It's like when you get the big guys playing 25 or 30 plays, they're going to give you everything they got, and it's going to be great. So I would imagine that. Do you think there's a new wrinkle today to do something to stop the run, or? The only thing I can see him doing, and as we've had great success with it, is doing some run stunts up front. The guys slanting and stuff, because you can't. Even though early on you could line up stripe to stripe and kick their butt, but eventually when you line up in the same place over and over again, they start noticing it, they're going to start making concessions and running different things to neutralize you. And I think that's one of the main things too. Is like when you have a defense like we have, especially in front like we have, you can't just sit there the entire time in front of a guy. It's like the bend but don't break stuff. That's cool, but have some, like you said, have some wrinkles. So I think it's going to be a little bit more of the stunts, the ISO stunts, and the toms and these stunts. I have to show you during the break. I'll draw them up for you. But it's just pretty much stunning. The one thing that if he's going to try to run coverage, and I don't think we have to run different coverage, like a bunch of coverages for Daniel Jones, you have to cut up the run because you're removing somebody from the box. Mm-hmm. So when you have two high safeties, that means you have a 7 or a 6-man box. That's the offense wins that every time.
Right.
But the way you make concessions for that is cut, but with run stunts up front, with the guys up front, and taking away some gaps.
If the Giants can't run the ball, what does that do for their offense in terms of putting so much more pressure on Jones?
It makes them turn the ball over. Mm-hmm. It's going to make him turn the ball over. And once we start hitting him, it's going to put a clock in his head. And that, you asked me this earlier about hitting the quarterback and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, once you start hitting him, he starts having the clock in his head.
Yeah.
If you hit him like more than once, that clock is going off. And I didn't recognize this until I was playing pro. And my dad, rest his soul, we were playing against San Francisco in the playoffs, and it was like I don't know if you remember the center Jesse. He had came back from heart surgery. The center for the 49ers.
I don't remember the name. Yeah.
But I was destroying him. They pretty much every time it's made it where I lined up over him every time, like head up. And I was destroying him, and I didn't notice until I went back and looked at film. But my dad, at the end of the game, I thought he was just trying to make me feel good. He's like, Steve Young was looking for you after every play. I was like, wait a minute, what? So then when I went back, it was like midway through the second quarter, when he dropped back and threw the ball, he turned back and looked over the center.
See where you are.
Yeah, because and then I looked at it. I was like, I didn't know I was playing that good. It was actually pretty good. I enjoyed kicking butt.
All right, so we are live at the Mudhen Brewing Company.
Hold on. You hear that? You hear that, Anthony?
Yeah.
We like kicking butt.
That's right. That's right. So you have Kenny and Anthony behind the main bar here.
Who's outside?
And Ken's outside.
Yeah.
Ken Loomis is outside.
He's outside with one soul.
Oh yeah, he'll be in soon. He'll be in soon, and he's Mr. Football here. He's the Wildwood High School football coach as well, teacher over at the school and works here at the Mudhen. But behind this bar here, you got Kenny, who's our man. Mm-hmm. And Anthony still wearing that Saquon Barkley jersey. So, all right, we're up against the break, and we're live at the Mudhen Brewing Company. We're here till 8 o'clock. Come on by. Great food, great drinks, of course, all the craft beer. The Hero Boy
with the whisper of cinnamon.
Whisper of cinnamon.
Changed my life.
That's right. Hero Boy spokesperson, Mr. Hollis Thomas. Among other things, you got another job there now. All right, so we're up against the break. This is Reality Check, the Ultimate Eagles pregame show. And we'll be back right after this on 98.7 The Coast. I'm Brian Caniff alongside the star of the show, Hollis Thomas, 14-year NFL veteran, 10 years, of course, with the Philadelphia Eagles, and played on some very, very good Eagles teams, played in the Super Bowl.
They beat the Giants, Anthony.
That's right. That's right.
He's going to rue the day that he wore that Saquon Barkley jersey in front of me.
In front of everybody in here. He didn't take a lot of abuse tonight.
Yes.
Yeah, we already know they've banished Bobby Zoos to the back bar. He's the Raiders fan. As we said, his team was out of it in September. So E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles! So they're already getting fired up here at the Mudhen.
See you later, That's my buddy. That's my buddy's dad. They're great people. Those are the twins and stuff. They came all the way from Philly to see me.
That's good. That's good. Always good. I know. Yeah, always good to have fans, isn't it?
Well, it's like more like
friends.
Yeah, great friends.
Absolutely.
Friends and family. So.
Absolutely. So make sure you stop by the Mudhen. We're here on the air till 8.
I'll be here.
I know you'll be here to watch the game. I'll be here for a little bit to watch the game.
He's gonna leave us, folks.
I gotta meet people.
He's gonna go and Anthony it up. Way to go.
No. Listen, if the Eagles go down and score first, I'm a superstitious guy. I might just stay.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. You probably won't be able to leave because I'll probably have to hold you down.
Yeah. All right, so by the way, and Mahomes did come back in the second half.
Yeah,
so.
I was texting my brother's at home watching the game, and he's watching us as well. And he's the one who sent me the text saying that he went down bad, like a ton of bricks.
Yeah, the replay didn't look good. Yeah, he definitely twisted something in there, but he's back on the field. He's certainly not 100%, but the Chiefs lead 17-10, and of course this is just the this is the warm-up.
Nice.
This is like the
There's
opening.
your boy right there.
Yeah, this is the opening act for the Eagles game tonight.
For the main course.
Main course.
The main event.
So I wanted to talk about tomorrow's games.
Yes.
So we have the Bengals and the Bills. That's a 3 o'clock start. Mm-hmm. That'll be on CBS. And then, of course, the night game, Cowboys and 49ers at 6:30 on Fox. So we'll start with the Bengals and Bills. First, your thoughts on that game.
I think it's going to be an interesting game. I think people underestimate Joe Burrow and the weapons he has. Even though he's found the knack of getting rid of the ball, even though his offensive line, he's got 3 or 4 starters that are not playing. Another makeshift offensive line that he's playing behind.
Yeah.
But he's also played behind it last year.
He played behind a bad one last year. They were better this year.
Well, yeah, but a lot of guys will end up getting hurt. I was like, but he's just found a way. He's not, and I love Joe Burrow because you haven't heard him say anything about his offensive line, and it's like but you couple that with the weapons that they have in place and with the stellar defense in which they play. I know everybody wanted the Bills to. It's a feel-good story. They wanted them to move on, but I think them giving up as many points as they did, like especially last week, and the things that you see, what's happening, especially with the turnovers that Josh Allen is having. And he's like, everybody's talking about, you can make concessions because of the big plays. No, you can't, because sometimes those big plays are not going to be there.
Well, the interesting thing is, for that game tomorrow, they're talking about snow starting just a couple of hours before the game. I don't know how heavy.
It's Buffalo, so
yeah.
So you know it's going to be heavy.
Yeah, and it looks like it's going to be snowing throughout that whole game tomorrow.
Cool.
So that ought
to be awesome to watch.
Yeah,
it's always awesome to watch somebody else freezing their tickets off.
Yes. Well, remember though, so a few years ago when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, different scenario because they had a bye, whereas Buffalo didn't, but. The Eagles struggled in their first playoff game against Atlanta, and and then obviously blew out Minnesota and then won the Super Bowl. But they squeaked by Miami. Do you think that maybe they tighten some things up? Does it galvanize them? I don't know.
I don't know. But Miami was a different animal though, because Miami they played twice during the regular season, so it's a team that so you gonna get what you're gonna get. So it's like they split during the regular season. And when they came back, Miami was on their third-string quarterback. To have the game that close with the third-string quarterback,
right?
And it wasn't. And if you look at the game, and you're truly looking at the game, it wasn't totally his fault because it was a lot of passes that he put on the money that were not brought in. So when you look at it, and the turnovers to me, that has mainly to do with Josh. That's like when you turn the ball over like that and you can't stop. When you play it, I think Cincinnati would capitalize on that. Basically, so it's like because the way you turned the ball over, it was unheralded.
and I guess for Cincinnati, that weather tomorrow shouldn't faze them.
No, it shouldn't phase them. They're right there. It's like if you ever look at the map, leading right up that way, Cincinnati's always in the. I guess I call it the snow alley.
Snow belt, snow alley.
Yeah. So it's like they're pretty much accustomed to that.
But it could be a fun game to watch to see them playing in the snow tomorrow. So
maybe Detroit Lions-esque. And Eagles, Detroit Lions.
Yeah. and who knows? I mean, like I said, I don't know how heavy, but they are forecasting snow for to start about 1 o'clock tomorrow, and it's snow all through the game.
Is it one of those storms that's got a name to it?
I don't think so. Yeah, it doesn't have a name. Yeah, it's good. You know what it's called? Lake effect.
So when the storm has a name, then you know it's coming to do damage.
Yeah. All right, so we are live at the Mudhen in Wildwood. I'm Brian Caniff alongside Hollis Thomas, 14-year NFL veteran, 10 years with the Philadelphia Eagles. When we're on break, stop on by the table, say hello. We'll take a quick picture, sign an autograph, and certainly chat with everybody, and get his hero boy with a whisper of cinnamon.
Yes, with the whisper of cinnamon.
Whisper of cinnamon. All right, and then you have the Cowboys and the 49ers in the late game tomorrow. What are your thoughts on that one?
Well, I think that the 49ers are probably going to throttle them, mainly because when you look at the games that the Cowboys have lost, they have a good team, but when the team runs at their defense, their defense is built for passing. They have good DBs that jump routes. I'm only calling them good DBs because they jump routes, and if you look at it, sometimes when they get toasted, it's always on a double move.
Right.
And when you run at them and then you run at them and slow the pass rush down, the play action fake is pretty much there. And I don't think he's going to put Brock Purdy in that type of position to where he's coming from behind like that. And the 49ers have a good running game.
Dak had one of the best games of his career last week, but against a bad defense.
Yeah. Did he turn the ball? He actually didn't turn the ball over last week.
He did.
Yeah, that was pretty good because up until that point he had pretty much an interception per week.
Yeah.
And a couple of pick sixes.
Yes, when he came back from the injury.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's probably the first since Carson Wentz to lead the league in picks with missing four games. Carson did it with 4. He did it with 5.
Yeah, that's incredible.
But I think it's going to be a good contest. But I think in the end, San Francisco is going to be a little bit too physical for them. When you look at all the games that San Francisco's played this year. The way that the running, I was laughing because I was talking to this one guy, and if you look at what San Francisco does, they're really only running 4 plays. The rest of it is curtains, bells, and whistles. A lot of motion, a lot of moving guys around and stuff, but they're coming back to pretty much the same plays that's the bread and butter of their offense. And when you do something well, and there's no use in changing it.
The 49ers have a guy that a lot of people from this area know.
Debo.
Well, I'm just saying, yes, but we have a guy who grew up here in the Wildwoods in the summers.
Who's that?
Mike McGlinchey, who's one of their starting offensive linemen. He's one of their better players. He's actually a cousin of Matt Ryan, the quarterback.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people know Mike, and he spent, all of his summers down here. The family has a home in North Wildwood.
Okay.
And
so they'll be pulling for the 49ers.
Yeah.
Other than the Dallas hate.
Yeah. So there's
another reason to hate Dallas.
Yeah. So you know how it is with Eagles fans, Hollis. Your favorite team's the Eagles. Your second favorite team's who?
Whoever's playing the Cowboys.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So. But there's always that little, contingency of people that are rooting for Mike. And there was a great story on him in the Philadelphia Daily News today. He comes from a big family. One of his brothers is autistic, and how they've, how he's kind of like grounded the family and what's important and things like that. So it was a nice story. That
a feel-good story.
Yeah. And Mike's been a good player. He's been a real good player. Played at Notre Dame.
You know they don't often do that for the NFL. They always talk about the bad guys.
Yeah.
So it's really good to see when they actually talk about somebody who's doing well and doing good.
What there was a year or two ago, the NFC East was almost like the NFC South, where nobody wanted to win it. And now you have 3 of the 4 3 teams in the playoffs, still in the playoffs this weekend.
Well, it was called the NFC least with good reasons. Then the Redskins, the Commanders ended up winning, and that wasn't that when the coach Judge got mad because he felt like felt like we threw the game to let
that's
the
right.
Commanders, and he jumped on TV and was talking all the trash.
Yeah.
And now he's back in New England.
Yeah. That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah.
But it's kind of funny you say that. It's like sometimes as the circle turns around and people some divisions get better, other teams get a little bit worse. We actually have three teams from the NFC East currently in the division round.
Right.
I think it's some type of record. The Commanders would have made the playoffs as well if some other things had went well, and we would have had everybody in the playoffs, which would have been monumental.
Yeah. There was remember the Monday night game? Or was it a Sunday night game against Dallas? There was a couple big calls that went against them late.
Yeah.
There's the illegal formation, which seemed a little shady.
Yeah. It's always a shady call when you're dealing with the Cowboys. Yeah. You probably don't even know this because you know Dean Belando is currently one of the analysts on Fox for officiating. He was the head of officials. What are you doing on Jerry Jones' party bus in Vegas?
Oh, was he really?
While you're the head of officials for the NFL.
Yeah. That's amazing. See, this is the kind of insight you get from Hollis Thomas.
Yeah, when I saw the video, I was like, that's a conflict of interest. And then not only that, I think it was when the Detroit Lions went to the playoffs, and I don't know if you remember this game, but I think Jim Caldwell was the head coach of the Lions. They were playing in Dallas. So they had the perfect play called against whatever the Cowboys were running. They hit, and they illegal contact the running back and hit a defensive receiver. They picked up the flag and didn't call nothing.
Really?
Not only that, Dez Bryant walked all the way out past the star from the sideline. Remember, Dallas defense is on the field with no helmet on, protesting the call.
I remember that.
Yes.
Yeah, I do remember that.
That's the penalty too.
Yeah, and that wasn't called.
Yeah, none of that was called. And then you turn around and Dean Belando is on the party bus. The party bus that had it was a party, and it was one of those type of parties that adults attend. Yeah. And they were in Vegas. What happened in Vegas didn't stay in Vegas that night.
The Cowboys, two less days.
Right.
You know, because they played Monday.
Are you looking
for 49ers played last Saturday.
Yeah, but are you looking for sympathy for them?
No.
No. I was going to say they said something about it.
I was actually very happy when they had to play Monday night because I thought if they win, they're at a disadvantage this week.
Yes, and then they have to travel as well. But that's what happens when you get into the playoffs and you're not a top seed. You have to make concessions. You're the one that's going to be put in the vicarious position to have to go somewhere and play even on short notice.
Right.
So because me and my brother were bickering about this, going back and forth about super wild card. He's like, that's not fair. I was like, neither is life.
Yeah.
So he's like, they shouldn't do that. I was like, why? It was like they're already in the playoffs. They added an extra team, so you know. And they get to play tomorrow. They get to play. They could have made them play today.
Yeah.
Remember, we're the number 1 seed.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's what we knew when the Giants won. We knew the Eagles were going to be on Sunday.
On Saturday?
I mean, on Saturday. We kind of knew that. You know what I mean? It's just the way it worked.
Well, nobody knew that the Giants were going to go down there and handle business.
Well, I'm just saying once they did.
Some of us did, but you know, some people were drinking the Kool-Aid from. I haven't liked the Minnesota Vikings since they came and put a Vikings thing on the Rocky statue.
Yes.
And it came and did all that extra crap, and then were crying after they lost, talking about the Eagles fans are so mean. You come and you take a picture in front of the Rocky and dress them up with Vikings gear.
What do you think's
going to happen? What do you think is going to happen?
Right.
It's like going over there. It's like, does that dog bite? A little.
Eagles special teams.
Right.
Been better, but weren't great all year. I mean, how much does that become a factor in the playoffs?
It won't be a factor this game because their special teams the Giants' special teams kind of stink. But I think I don't know if you remember at the point in the season where they were a problem. They brought up Ellis, linebacker Ellis, and this other guy, and we haven't had any problems since.
Yeah.
And as soon as they brought the kid up, Ellis, he's a linebacker.
From the practice squad.
Yeah, from the practice squad. He was making every special teams play known to man, and I'm talking about like when they brought him up, I was like, okay, let's see what happens. Opening kickoff, boom, number 53.
Yeah.
So it's, I think they got a harness on that, and we won't be hopefully we won't be missing 4 extra points.
Yeah, yeah. Dallas has some issues there.
Yeah,
and they didn't bring in another kicker. It's kind of hard to do that at this point, isn't it?
Well, it's extremely hard. But did you hear what Jerry Jones did when he was missing the kicks?
No, I think I did, but remind me.
He said I think he posted I think we need a kicker. Are there any kickers out there?
Did he really?
Yeah, he posted that. I was like, wow, the owner just doing it like that.
Yeah. But if there was someone good out there, he'd have a job already.
You think?
Yeah. So, I mean, especially now in January, who's going to be available for you?
That is true. But kickers get released all the time,
right.
Especially during the cut down, and you still always have to have a guy in mind to be able to come in and do that. But I was getting ready when we first start talking about kickers. I had to answer a question about they thought that Jake Elliott was cheating because he takes a piece of turf and throws it into the spot where he wants the ball so he can kick it.
I didn't realize he did that.
Yeah, all 30 other kickers do it as well.
Yeah.
But it's like they used to have a little small black tee
right.
that they put it on.
They
yeah, but now they do it anymore.
Yeah.
Now you just put it where you want it, so you know where to put your plant foot.
Yeah.
So the Giants were making a big deal out of that.
Wow. And you remember who was it? It was I think the Jets were involved. Remember when they had the thing come out? They cleared the snow right before they kicked the field goal years ago.
that was the Buffalo Bills.
It was Buffalo.
Yeah, because they had the guy who cleared it.
Maybe the Jets played them. I thought the Jets were
the Dolphins were playing because Don Shula was pissed.
Oh, that's right.
Because the guy who came and cleared the snow was, I guess, on work release from prison.
Really?
I was cracking up.
Yeah.
I was like, it's in the follies somewhere. If you go and look it up, it'll show you, and it'll have the guy's name there. He was on work release to clear the snow.
That's exquisite. That's a great story right there. All right, we're live at the Mudhen. We're up against the break. Mudhen Brewing Company in Wildwood. This is the
reality. Get the Hero Boy.
Yes, get the Hero Boy
before the season's over.
That's right. Yeah, it's a seasonal beer. It's going to go soon. Reality Check, the Ultimate Eagles pregame show. We're here till 8 o'clock. Eagles, of course, at 8:15 on Fox, and this is a great spot to watch the game here. Great sight lines for the 4 TVs in the main room. And come on by the Mudhen and make sure you stop by and say hello to Hollis Thomas, 14-year NFL veteran. And
I'm laughing because my brother said, I never said it wasn't fair. He said it didn't make sense.
Right.
The Cowboys playing Monday night.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Deepest apologies.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. All right, so we'll be back right after this. This is Reality Check, the Ultimate Eagles pregame show, 98.7 The Coast. Wood, Brian Caniff alongside the star of the show, Hollis Thomas, 14-year NFL veteran, 10 years, of course, with the Philadelphia Eagles. And he's, not surprisingly, a very popular guy here, signing autographs, taking pictures. And we're here till 8 o'clock. Make sure you stop by the Mudhen here in Wildwood. And we got the Eagles coming up at 8:15 tonight.
Go Birds.
Go Birds. And the game is on Fox.
Anthony blows.
Yes.
Chunks.
Where is Anthony? He's not even paying attention.
He's
pretending he's busy. He's always listening. He's always listening. So, yeah, if you want to come in, check out the place. Great food.
Great food, great hero.
Great drinks.
Great hero boy.
Hero boy beer.
And
if you want to throw stuff at Anthony.
Kenny's the man, though.
Kenny's the man. He's the Eagles fan back there.
And something that you alluded me to, I didn't know that most breweries don't sell liquor.
I didn't say most. So you have to have a full.
So now you're going to change it.
Well,
way to go.
I'm just saying. I mean, there's a lot of breweries that are just that. It's just beer.
I thought you were enlightening me. I thought I was going to make that my fun fact of the day.
Well, you were kind of making fun of me by saying, "Hey, they serve alcohol, so they have to have a liquor license."
I know. So you were being.
I was saying liquor license.
So you being Petty James.
Yeah, something like that. Something like that. So we have a little segment here for, we talk about maybe some other sports for a little bit. So I know you follow them. You go to a lot of games. Sixers 4-0 out west, and they play Sacramento tonight. Playing very well of late.
Nice.
He's got an autograph.
He got an autograph from a young person. But I have been watching the West Coast Strip.
Yeah,
it's been going tremendous. Go Birds. Hold on a second.
Yeah, they've been playing very well. I mean, the Jazz, the Lakers, the Clippers, and Portland. And those were the four teams that the Sixers beat so far on that West Coast trip. And they finished that up. They finished that up tonight against Sacramento.
You can never say no to the kids.
No, you cannot. You cannot. And I don't think a lot of people are going to watch the beginning of that game tonight because the Eagles will be on. But they finished their West Coast trip tonight in Sacramento, and they've been fun to watch.
It's been tremendous to watch. I was laughing because some of the powers that be were getting pissed at Hakeem Olajuwon because of what he said about Joel Embiid. He should be down low more. And I was like, to me, to help the team out, I would start him out. I would start him out power down there and just use it. And when he can shoot the three, you stretch him to that. But I feel like if he's down low, we have a better opportunity to get an offensive rebound.
Well, I mean, I think the one criticism of him through his career, as much of a physical specimen as he is and as talented as he is, he's not a great offensive rebounder because he's not down there.
Yeah, sometimes it looked to me like his body language seems lazy. I don't know. It's like because sometimes when it's like nobody should have to piss you off for
to get you going,
to get you going or get you to hustle.
Yeah,
it's like it's certain times you have to kind of watch him. I love his skill set, but if he hustled all the time, if he gave you that 100 all the time, he'd be a problem, more of a problem than he already is.
But one of the things too is they put him outside as well because he's a matchup problem. Because that center that's guarding him isn't used to guarding someone on the perimeter, so that's part of what makes him effective.
Yeah, but you use that a little bit later. You want some offensive rebounds, you want some second chance points.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's like I was like you do that stretch stuff like a little later in the game. Mm-hmm. Let you get warmed up. Let you hit a couple of back him down and put him in the mixer a little bit, and let him get tired, and then he won't be able to come out there and contest your shot.
And then there's a pretty big story in college football right now.
Which
I don't know if you've seen this.
Is it the kid from Florida?
Florida. So you have Jaden Rashada.
NIL?
Yes, and there's a something called the Gator Collective, which all these schools have now, where basically the boosters come together. They get the money together to give to these kids because they can make the money off NIL.
Right.
And the report was that he was promised a 4-year, $13 million NIL deal.
Yep, and
now they've reneged on it, and now he wants to be let out of his letter of intent.
And he should be.
Agreed.
Because it's kind of like, it's not like the old.
He signed the letter of intent under those pretenses.
Under those stipulations.
And now you take it away.
Yeah, you take it away. The funniest part of that is like when we were kids, I did the recruiting thing. A lot of the coaches was like, I went on 3 visits So on the first 2 visits, I really didn't pay that much attention, as much as because I'm telling you the story now. The coaches said the scholarship was only good for 24 hours. I was like, well, that's no good.
Right.
That doesn't give me an opportunity to make a quality choice.
Right.
So the one school, Northern Illinois,
Right.
he said, whenever you're ready. They say whenever you're ready.
That's that.
And that shows that they want you, but it's you right nowadays. They lie. Well, the other part I was getting at was they said I could have 44. I wore 44 in high school, and I get there and I got 78 in my locker. I was highly upset. I was pissed to no end. I was like, so they tell you things to get you there, and they take you out partying and make you think the school is all cool and stuff, and then you get there and everything is flipped.
Yeah. So your thoughts on this NIL, because a lot of these kids are making some really good money.
Right.
You know, and
I think it's a good and a bad thing. I think the good part is that the university is no longer afforded to earn all the money and you get nothing, and then you might not go pro. That might be your college career. You might be just a great college player, and then you have nothing but bumps and bruises. They say, oh, it's education too. Yeah, okay. But you go to school to make money.
And you're making them a lot of money.
Yeah, you're making them billions. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember.
In your opinion, what do you think that they should do to try to kind of level this off, to level the playing field off? Because this is obviously a kid who was highly touted, and but he hasn't played. It's kind of like the same thing that went on in the NFL for a while until they got the rookie
scale.
Rookie pay scale. It's like, so you have a freshman coming in. How the hell do you tell your other players you just gave him $13 million? How do you tell your other players that?
I know, and here's the thing that I think is a little difficult with this NIL thing. So here's a perfect example. In this area, and you've probably heard of him because obviously his father and his grandfather were NBA players. So you have this kid at Camden, DJ Wagner. Okay. So his recruiting was basically the finalists were Kentucky, Louisville, Memphis.
Okay.
I think so that's basically where everybody thought he was going to go. He had offers all over the place to those 3. Well, then Nike comes in and gives him, because in New Jersey now, you can also get NIL money as a high school athlete in Jersey.
Cool.
They put that in. So, and great for him.
Right.
So Nike comes in and gives him a 6-figure deal.
Nice.
He's getting a few $100,000, I believe, is what I was told on this initial deal from Nike. Well, guess what? Kentucky's a Nike school. So like a week after he signs the NIL deal, he makes his commitment to Kentucky. And that I think is where
that's what
that's where it kind of gets a little funny.
Yeah,
and
it's like if you have the money, then you'll be able to get the top-notch players. And it actually depends on the kid too, because everybody can't go to all the schools that we're speaking of and play.
Yeah, and there was, but it also has a different consequence too, because if you're like you might be that kid who's borderline on whether you're going to leave early, whether it's football or basketball. And like here's an example. So Drew Timme plays for Gonzaga. He last year it was, should he stay, should he go? He was projected as a second-round pick. Right. Well, the thing was, I read somewhere that last year I think he made $700,000 in NIL money. So money wasn't the issue. Right. Like it's not like he needed money. Like he didn't have to make that choice because he needed money. Right. And I actually think that's a good thing. He stayed. He's still there. Okay. So
that is a quality
thing. So I
thing.
think that's good. Yeah. Like, because if you have a kid who grew up poor, right, and he has an opportunity to go and make life-changing money for himself and his family, and maybe he's not ready. Well, if he's got good NIL money, he doesn't have to go early.
Exactly, and it doesn't put him in that position to where they have to make more adult decisions in the real world instead of at college.
Well, and I think we all know that there was backroom money going on for years in college football with
whatever do you mean?
Yeah. And now it's
I worked at the laundromat.
yes. Now it's all legal. But you know, I don't think there's anything wrong. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
But now it's like you're making all this money off these kids,
Right.
And you sometimes they lie to you and they get you to the school, and then it's nothing like they said.
Well, you know, yeah, and here's one of my thoughts on it too. You go to one of these big time schools. You go to Nick Saban, okay? You go to Alabama.
He cracks me up because he got mad at Deion because he got the #1 recruiter.
Yes.
Said the kid was making $3 million. I was like, seriously?
Yeah.
At Jackson State?
Yeah, no.
Come on.
So, but, you know, before NIL money, you're bringing these kids in. They're making no money. A lot of them are coming from poor backgrounds. Nick Saban's making whatever it is, $10 million a year, he's lighting up their backside every day in practice.
And he's got a Benz dealership.
Yeah.
You know why I know that? Because guess who, when he was recruiting Tua, guess whose father worked for Mercedes-Benz?
Oh, really? Tua's father?
Guess where he transferred to? The one in Alabama.
Yes.
I wonder how that happened so fast.
I didn't know that. Did not know that. That's very, very interesting.
He talks a lot of extra crap, and he was all over Jimbo Fisher too, going back and forth with them. I think the back and forth is funny because you truly realize what they think, just in general, and how I say how petty they are. It's like one player is not going to make or break your team. It's like in you talking trash about another team, about their comings and goings and the money that they spend. It's like you don't have a stake in that.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, we're live at the Mud Hen here in Wildwood. This is Reality Check, the Ultimate Eagles pregame show. We're here till 8. We're already almost 2 hours through.
Nice.
Kansas City leading Jack. This game has tightened up. Kansas City now has a 20-17 lead early in the fourth quarter.
I was going to tell you Jacksonville just scored a touchdown.
Yeah. So we'll keep tabs on that. We'll come back with the final hour.
I'll tell you about that when we come back. What just happened?
We'll be back with the final hour after this. Reality Check, the Ultimate Eagles pregame show, live on 98.7 The Coast. we're back on.
Just a bit outside.
Thanks, Sam did a good job of like waving us down. Hey, you're back on the air. This is Reality Check, the ultimate Eagles pregame show. We're live at the Mudhen. And by the way, I did want to mention Sam Cohen's our on-site producer and engineer. Norm Donahue's back at the studio. Those guys doing a great job. So go ahead.
No, I was just going to say we were talking about the Monday night thing, and my brother just texted me again saying, even though the Rams won the Super Bowl last year, and they played on Monday night as well.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
So it's no indictment to play on Monday night.
Yeah, I guess not. Well, at this time of year, you can't make excuses anyway.
Right.
So, and that gets me right into that because this is one of the topics I wanted to bring up. The Eagles not only have the advantage of coming off the bye, but the Giants now are playing on a short week.
Nice.
So, that's a.
But they don't have to travel that far, though.
Yeah.
It's not like a really bad travel. It's a little different if you have to get on a plane and make concessions. They're coming right down the road, and they've been there before. They were just here like not too long ago, so it's a familiar territory.
Yes.
So I think they didn't come up on the short end of the stick this time.
This is the beginning of our third and final hour here at the Mudhen Brewing Company.
The calm before the storm.
Yes, and it's starting to fill up a little bit more now with the Eagles coming up at 8:15. We're here till 8 o'clock here on 98.7 The Coast. I'm Brian Caniff alongside Hollis Thomas, 14-year NFL veteran, spent 10 of those seasons with the Philadelphia Eagles. And what are the preparations like for a playoff game versus a regular season game? I mean, I know technically you should. I guess they say you should handle everything the same, but I got to imagine that the focus is even more razor sharp now.
I'm trying to think that ever changed anything. Because it's like just like before the break, you said if they score before you leave, you can't leave.
Right.
It's like so. I still on the morning of the game, I still have bacon and eggs and then some type of toast biscuits because that was the only superstition I had on game day.
Was your pregame meal?
Bacon and eggs.
Breakfast?
Bacon and eggs.
Yeah.
Nothing burns better than bacon. And it's like on the times when we were at some hotel that made crappy eggs and stuff. It was like, I could see it in my gameplay and stuff. It's it's definitely the bacon and eggs.
So and I want to go back to that short week thing.
Okay.
I've heard that before. You just alluded to it. It almost seems like the difference on playing in a short week is really the disadvantages for the visiting team, isn't it?
Correct. Mainly because of travel.
Right.
But they don't have to travel this far this time, so it's a little bit different. And they were just here.
Yeah.
So it's not like they have to go over to San Francisco, or they had to go to Tampa Bay and then to San Francisco. Mm-hmm. So because there's going to be mentioned the entire time with the Cowboys getting throttled.
First playoff game. Of this season.
Okay.
Of this. No, let's go back. Let's go to you.
Okay.
Yeah, your first playoff game. What was that experience like for you?
It was awesome.
Which game was it?
It was 1996. We were playing against the San Francisco 49ers.
Okay, because I knew you were hurt for some playoff runs.
Well, that was when Andy got here. I remember I came in under Ray Rose.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
So,
okay.
My first playoff game was against Steve Young.
Right. So you were healthy for your first playoff
Yeah, for the first
game.
And I was healthy for Andy's the first few runs that we made with Andy. I ended up getting hurt. I want to say the first NFC Championship we went to, and I proceeded to get hurt pretty much every season after that until the Super Bowl season. Yeah. I even got hurt that season as well. Dislocated my elbow, but I was able to come back around playoffs, and that's why the last game of that season was against the Cowboys, and we needed the victory to go on our first round bye. And it was mainly for myself and Derek Burgess, who had a cracked sternum, and I had dislocated my elbow. We needed that extra week preparation and a treatment to get back on track. So
the difference of playing at home in a playoff game, especially when it's the first game of the playoff season. So the Eagles fans are going to be even more hyped up. So how much? And I know when you're a professional, you've played so much football.
No, you're correct. Keep going. You talking about the crowd? How much?
Well, what I was going to say.
How much does it
It's gotta
electrify
help.
you?
Yeah.
Dude, when they're cheering for you,
Yeah.
dude, man. It's like, because initially when you first come out there, you try to keep it even keel. It's like, but playing it in, not only playing at Veterans Stadium, but playing it at Lincoln Financial Field, when you come out there, it's after they sing that national anthem, and you're coming out and you see the fans and you see the energy that they bring, dude, you go from here to here real quick.
What you played?
Put it this way, we relish in being in defense on the first series, but if it goes past 3 plays, we're all going to need action. That's how hyped we are.
Yeah.
That's like, because the first play, everybody, especially when you come out, you're all hyped and stuff, and then he's like, defense up first, defense up first. Then you get out there and somebody blasts somebody in the backfield, everybody's high-fiving and stuff. That's a lot of energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a whole lot of energy.
So I know you played was Brian Dawkins with you your whole Eagles career?
Yeah,
most of it.
Apparently, you don't pay attention.
I pay attention.
Who was in my draft class?
No. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's right. So it was your whole career.
I didn't get drafted, but it was Jermaine Mayberry, then Brian Dawkins, then Jason Dunn, Whit Marshall. Who else? A lot of the other guys did not last.
Right.
So,
but what I was going to get at was they said that he had such a different personality off the field than on.
Oh yeah, he was calm off the field.
Yeah.
It's like he turns into see a lot of times when people come up to me and ask me that question about it, it's like you have to realize he plays in the secondary. I'm not talking to him.
Yeah, it's true.
If I'm turning around, if I'm talking to him, we're getting our ass whooped.
Yeah. How much? So and I know he was a really good leader. How much?
Yeah.
How much does? And it's not like a basketball team. Football teams have multiple leaders. Usually the quarterback's one of them.
Right. But I think I know where you're going with this. I guess I can answer before you get it out.
Yeah.
Normally on each level of defense and offense, you have an offensive line leader. You have a defensive line leader. You have a linebacker core leader. You have a secondary leader.
Right.
He was a leader. He was what made our secondary be as vicious as it was and feared. And that's the one guy. You had the other guys on the outside. When we first got here, we had Troy Vincent and Bobby Taylor.
Yeah.
And you had him, and you had Mike Zordich, my rookie
safety.
Safety. But then you had him back there, young and roaming and destroying things. And not only that, being able to cover. He was. I think he made the safety what it is today. Being able to also cover different receivers and stuff. Be able to cover stuff besides just a tight end. And then the blitzing package that Jim Johnson would put together, and you never knew when he was coming. So it's you look at all that, and you have multiple leaders on every level. So it's like you have those one guys, the guys up front. We tend to run the team, and it's no other way to look at it. We run the team specifically because it starts with us. If we're getting our butts kicked, the whole defense is losing.
Right. Yeah. So how much does how much influence does the leaders have? How much influence do they have on what goes on a day-to-day basis with a professional football team?
But what do you mean? It's like sometimes the coaching staff. Normally, when you get a coaching staff in there, and they're a good pro coaching staff, they come in and they lay down the groundwork and set the criteria of what it takes to win. Mm-hmm. Then the leaders, as you're speaking of, the leaders, they normally step up when they seeing somebody. Will you police yourself? The coach shouldn't have to say anything. So one of us should be saying something to you for not running to the ball, for missing your assignment, for being late. It's like, what are you doing? We're doing this together. You got something better to do? Mm-hmm. It's like, so you police yourself. And then a lot of times the leaders aren't vocal. Sometimes the leader, sometimes in your hustle and doing stuff. Well, sometimes everybody's feeling down and stuff, and we need a play to be made. And then somebody makes a play. So that leaders are defined in different ways. And sometimes you have the vocal leaders. I always like to listen to the vocal leaders because it's funny because they always mess something up verbally.
Yeah.
So
Kansas City's up 27-17 on Jacksonville. Yeah. Jacksonville is in the red zone.
It's in the red zone. I think that was a penalty. I'm not.
I don't know. It was almost intercepted too.
It was, but yeah. I think he
might have been a penalty.
I think he grabbed the watch this.
Showing the replay now. People out in radio land might not be able to get this game. Yeah, it should have been intercepted. That's why he's playing D-back.
You think?
All right, so this is the Reality Check Ultimate Eagles pregame show. I'm Brian Caniff alongside Hollis Thomas 14-year NFL veteran, 10 years with the Eagles. Stop on by the table. He'll be happy to sign autographs, take a picture and whatnot. And we're here till 8 o'clock. And Hollis is going to hang out, watch the Eagles game here with the good people of the Mudhen. I want to see. I think you should get behind the bar maybe with Anthony and watch the game with him.
I'm going to go do Oklahoma drill out back with, with Anthony.
Yeah. Yeah. Something tells me Anthony might not come back. Yeah. So, it's kind of a packed house here, but there are still a couple open tables. You can get in here and get a seat. They do have the upstairs open tonight.
But I think it's a birthday party going on up there.
Okay.
I've had some of the birthday cake.
That's right. That's right. You had the birthday cake earlier.
It was delicious.
That's right.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. So it's been great. It's been great being here so far. It's a 7.5 point line tonight. Yeah. The over/under's 48.
Interesting.
You know, I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Well, I know it's going to be a 7.5, mainly because it's a familiar team. You're familiar. Eventually, but then a lot of people are betting on the Giants to win. I see I'm starting to see why some people despise Giants fans more than they hate Cowboys fans, because none of them are talking, but they make a little smart ass comments here and there. Yes, go Birds. And they're making it something talking about what are you guys gonna do when you lose tomorrow? I was like, what are you talking about, dude? The game hasn't even been played yet. I was like, it's not like you guys did anything the last two games to bold any confidence.
It's interesting because usually the games are much tighter.
Well, because it's a division game. But this is a new coaching staff with the Giants, so they haven't been. They've only played twice against each other, so they're just getting to know each other.
What I was getting at was it seems like a lot of these NFL playoff games so far have had big point spreads. You usually don't see a lot of that. You'll see 1 or 2 games, but
we did beat them 48-22 early.
True.
True. And then a lot of people was thinking just because I feel like some of the people, including some of the people with the Giants, gained a little bit of confidence because they were an onside kick away from tying up the game. It's like, yeah, right.
Yeah. We mentioned the line and the over/under, and now the league has kind of embraced the gambling a little bit because they're getting the advertising off it and they're making money off it.
Yeah, way to do it after I'm done. You know how many appearances I had to turn down because they were at casinos?
I was just thinking that. Yeah,
I had to do appearances at casinos for rooms.
Yeah.
I was like, come on. Yeah. But it is what it is.
What is because I know they talk about this more with baseball than anything else, but at some point when you enter the league,
right?
Is there a conversation had with someone in the organization, whether it's a security person or whatever, that tells people about you got to stay away from all the gambling stuff? They just got they have to do that.
They give a bunch of seminars and what not to do. Some of them are extremely cheesy. And some of them are informative, and they tell you who to stay away from. So, with people that you don't know, try to hang around you to get like tips and stuff about what's going on with the team, personal tips. Yeah. It's like just be leery of that, and don't gamble. Yeah. What's the kid's name who was just gambling? Who was out for a year? Ridley.
He's betting on another sport. Yeah.
No, but he was betting on football.
Football too.
Yeah, that's why he's got suspended.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
It's like, come on, man.
Yeah. I mean, and that's, I guess it's difficult.
Well, I had the opportunity to meet Paul Horney, and him and Alex Karras got suspended for a year.
Yes.
And he got suspended for it.
We're going to take a commercial in a moment, so you can get a better picture if you want.
So they both got suspended for a season for gambling.
Gambling, yes, I remember that.
Now, when Paul Horney came back, he apologized. Alex Karras never apologized. That's why he was postponed. They put him in the Hall of Fame after he passed away.
Yeah.
And I asked Paul Horney, what was the difference between you and Alex Karras? Why were they so quick to let you in the Hall of Fame and not him? Because he had the numbers. He was a beast. Him knocking out that horse was probably true to form. You know he knocked out the horse, right?
He did?
You never seen the movie?
No.
Really? So, but no. I think he said the one thing was he apologized for it. And Alex Harris said, "What am I apologizing for? Are you going to give me my money back? You suspended me for a year. I did my time."
Yeah.
So,
So
it's a lot to be said about it, and I think it puts a black eye on the sport when they think you have money on it.
Yeah, no doubt.
You may be shaving points.
Yeah. It's interesting because now all the sports leagues are getting, I don't want to say they're in bed with them, but they are. Now they're grabbing the money off them and everything else with the advertising.
Well, the one thing that you have to know is when they start doing all the fantasy stuff,
right?
That's starting to be considered gambling.
Yeah.
So once
and the league wanted their piece.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they want their piece of the. Because before we go to break out, I'll tell you the one quick one. When you're done playing, you never use the logos or anything from the team that you're on.
Right.
You always just say former.
Right.
Because there's not. They asked me to take one thing down that said Philadelphia Eagles. And they want their money. They want their cut. You can't nothing. They did what's it? LeVar Arrington like that too, because he's like a Washington Redskin all-time great was on this page. So they sent him a cease and desist letter.
Thanks for your service, but cease and desist.
But they just called me and was like, "Hey, about the post, take it down, please."
That's interesting.
I heard some rumbling from upstairs. Take it down.
Wow.
So but they want their piece of the pie.
All right, we're up against another break. We are live at the Mudhen Brewing Company in Wildwood. I'm Brian Caniff alongside 14-year NFL veteran, former Philadelphia Eagle, Hollis Thomas. Stop on by our table. We're among the people today. They don't have us against the wall.
I know. They wanted to show the bar.
We wanted to show the bar and all the activity.
They wanted to show Kenny, not Anthony.
They wanted to show Kenny. That's
not
exactly
Anthony.
right. Not Anthony in his Giants jersey. All right, so we're up against the break. Back after this on 98.7 The Coast. 14-year NFL veteran Hollis Thomas. We are here until 8 o'clock. The Eagles coming up at 8:15 against the New York Giants.
Yes.
And we've had some fun with Anthony behind the bar in his Giants jersey. And he's going to really be taking abuse possibly later. Yeah,
I'm not going to be around him.
Some things that I wanted to get into. You talked about it very early in the show. You alluded to it. Boston Scott.
The Giant Killer.
He's got 18 career touchdowns, 10 against the Giants. Is it coincidence or what is it?
When I said this last time, we'll talk about him. I said, sometimes you just have certain teams' number. Like I used to sack Trent Green like nobody's business. Mm-hmm. Like I have 20 sacks, 4.5 of them on Trent Green.
Really?
when he was playing with
Washington.
Washington at the time, yeah. And then I think even when he went to Kansas City,
you sacked him there too.
he just couldn't get away from me.
He must not have seen you coming. He had a problem seeing you apparently.
I was crying. It was like, but he just seems to have a knack. And you know what? I didn't figure it out, but it's what I would be thinking. It's like we have that big offensive line. So when you give him the ball back there, it's hell on wheels trying to find him. It's
Boston Scott.
Trying to find Boston Scott.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one advantage he has. And by the time you found him, he's already hit the gap and gone by you.
You played on an Eagles team that used running backs by committee.
I guess you say that.
Yeah,
Deuce was here. I was here first with Ricky Waters.
Right.
Then Deuce Staley came.
Right.
Then they brought Wes Brooks, Lil Boots, and then
right.
But then Buckhalter.
Yeah.
But when then Buckhalter came, he was hurt for all the time when I was here. So it was they were really featuring boy Westbrook. But before that, they was featuring Deuce.
Right.
So.
But how important is that change? Because Boston Scott's like that change of pace guy, and it seems like when a guy like him can come in and be effective, the offense is really clicking.
Well, you know what I think you also forgot Ken Gainwell. Mm-hmm. When you have that change of pace back and you have a guy that can give you almost the same things as your starter, and it puts you on notice. But the Boston Scott thing is the fact that he's small and he hits the hole so hard. Pause. But it's just like I don't know. It's like I'm trying to think of a situation where I played a team that's had the type of back trio that we have.
And how about talk about the season that Miles Sanders has had? I mean, obviously the best of his career, and for him personally at the right time because he's going to be a free agent.
He's going to be a free agent, and I feel like this is one of the. He's another guy who I feel like this is another defining moment for him currently because towards the end of this season they were not using him as much, and then he became a little bit ineffective when we had the one cold game in Chicago. It was extremely cold, but he seemed like he didn't want to play. So I think this game right here, he should, and also playing against his former teammate Saquon Barkley, he should want to. And the contract thing. That's the part I was liking about this team. We have a bunch of people who are going to be free agents next year.
So they're playing for something.
So they're playing for something.
Yeah.
So I like this year. I like the fact that he was actually taking the coaching and getting downhill instead of running east and west. And it's like he put a lot of people on notice, but he seemed like he's tailed off at the end of the season. I wanted to get back to that mid-season form that he had.
Do you think that was somewhat on purpose? Did the Eagles dial him back to keep him fresh for the playoffs? Maybe.
I don't know. We'll see today. I don't know.
Yeah.
The first 3 drives of that Saints, the first 4 drives of that Saints game, you only handled the ball twice, and we have a backup quarterback. You have to say something to the offensive coordinator, and I don't want to hear the explanation we're taking what they're giving us, because they were not giving you that.
Right. Obviously, because they couldn't move the ball.
Yeah, exactly. And our defense spent a lot of excess time out there.
Too much time. A.J. Brown's impact on the Eagles.
Finally got a true number one. Mm-hmm. The last time we had a true number one was for a short stint was T.O.
T.O., yeah.
And you look at it, he just made the whole receiving corps better, man. It's like you didn't have to depend on somebody who's not truly a number one. You didn't have to wait on Devontae Smith to become that number one. It's like you just got number 1 and 1A out there, and it made it also for the tight end too.
Right.
It's like and then not only that, who are you going to have in the flats when we have running backs that can catch the rock? Who are you going to have in the
What's
flats?
the one thing the Eagles don't do that much of? Is
I know.
throw the ball to running back.
Thought about Boston's running back. They don't do that much. Maybe because there's so many, you have so many receivers and tight ends.
Yeah.
It's like it's only one ball that can go around.
True. What have you seen from Brown that we know his skill set? We see him when he's big, he's strong,
and fast,
for a guy that big because he can run away from people. So, but what does a guy like that do for the tight end, for Devontae Smith, for the guy in the slot, Quez Watkins? What does that guy? What does that guy do?
Takes the top off the defense because they have to worry about him. If you single team him, it should be criminal.
Right.
And so you have to make concessions in your secondary for him. And so that's what you'll see. And you'll be able to see. That's why the ball is spread around the way it is. Because even though they double team him at times, and with our quarterback dropping in the bucket the way he does, it kind of doesn't matter if they double team him, does it?
Right.
So it's you. But he takes the top off the defense, and the thing I do love about him is he makes those catches, those inside those slant catches. It's like I remember at a point where this takes you back to when we were playing the Carolina Panthers in the NFC Championship game.
I was at that game.
And you see what they did to our receivers when they were trying to on basic slant routes.
Yep.
Like pushing them around and stuff.
Yeah.
You're not going to push him around.
Right.
He's going to get the ball.
Yeah.
And that's what you love to see.
What is I was the thing, and I don't know how you felt, but when the Eagles got A.J. Brown, I thought that I thought are the Eagles getting damaged goods? Like I thought they got him on the cheap.
No.
And was there something? Like I was almost like, was there something wrong there?
No, but when you look at it, we swapped. We gave a first round pick.
Yes.
And they drafted a kid who they felt was going to be like A.J. Brown. I was like, but
they got him cheaper.
Yeah, got him cheaper. And then we didn't get nothing cheap. We had to sign him.
Yeah.
We had to sign him to a long-term
Well,
deal.
you're right on that. I'm just saying on what you gave up to get him. But he's certainly been more than he surpassed, I think, everybody's expectations.
But then you turn around and what is how we do? He goes to get us a first round pick.
Yeah.
And then also gets us C.J. Gardner.
Yes. So
when you see that phone ringing and you see 215-463-2500, don't answer. Don't answer because it's Howie.
So speaking of Howie, next year with those two first round picks, long way to go here. I got to think at least one of them is going to be a lineman of some sort.
Well, I think if not both of them.
Right.
Because when you look at the secondary, not the secondary, but our receiver corps.
Right. You don't need anybody there. You get someone late.
Yeah, you get someone late. Also in the backfield, if you're going to draft a running back, you draft somebody late if you're not going to sign Miles.
Yeah.
But I see them showing up the offensive and defensive line. I don't know if he's going to be at number 10, but number 88 for Georgia. Dear God.
Yeah.
He's a man among boys.
Yeah.
Or if we don't sign and this is way in we don't sign Bradbury back, you got to look at corner.
Yeah.
You got to look at a long-term solution at corner.
I don't know how much to make of this.
What's that?
The Giants have had so much trouble with the Eagles over the last 10 years, especially at Lincoln Financial Field.
Right.
There's so much turnover in the NFL with players, probably more than any other sport, really. And then you have different coaching staffs have come through. Why does that continue? What is it?
Well,
is there anything you can explain on that?
Well, not because when I first got to the Birds, we was having trouble with the Giants.
That's right.
We were having trouble.
That's right.
And then it's actually my first and second year we didn't have that much trouble with them.
Wow.
But then the third year and then the fourth year with Andy, and then it took us a while when Andy was here to finally beat the Giants on a Monday night when everybody was high fiving "Five Will Always Love You," and we only scored 10 points. The score was 10-9. And then actually the year before that, they beat us 3 times in one season. Once in the playoffs. So it's like but since then it's been a constant. We've been having their number. So I don't know if it's just the coaching or we just got their number and we don't like them.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the Giants in terms of their their future? You know, are they a team on the come here, or is this maybe their is this maybe their ceiling? I don't know.
Given the coaching thing, I like Brian Dable. I think he's a really good coach, and he knows how to get the best out of players. And he's a technician. He's a tactical guy. If you really watched the two games between him and Minnesota, he just switched just a little bit so that they can get the edge. And that's what and I think they're on the uprise. I think they have to get somebody besides if they're not committed to Daniel Jones, they have to get somebody else, because I don't think that they're committed to his erraticness. It's like everybody keeps talking about 3 good games. I was like, yeah, right.
Well, and he's been in the league for a few years now. It's not like,
you notice they have, and if they're so hell bent on him, why haven't they picked up his 5th-year option?
Yes.
I'll wait.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like it's almost like you can't settle to have an average quarterback, because you'll never win a championship.
No, but as a head coach, when you're the new head coach, the moment you make that high draft pick quarterback or bring in a highly touted free agent for a lot of money, then you're on the clock.
Yes.
Your job is on the clock. If you need to win, and you need to win fast.
No doubt.
So that's when you look at it, when you look at the landscape, the first time that when a coach drafts a quarterback in the top 5 or 10, or he goes out and gets a quarterback, Hackett, Hackett from Denver, you are on the clock.
Yeah. Well, they're stuck there with Russell Wilson with that contract.
Well, yeah, they're stuck big time.
Yeah.
And it's the funny.
Yeah, the Chiefs just recovered an onside kick, so they're going to beat Jacksonville. Jacksonville just kicked a field goal to get within 7. But they have no timeouts left. There's 25 seconds left. So Kansas City will move on to the conference championship game, so they'll play either Buffalo or Cincinnati next week. And
who do you think they're going to play?
I actually like Buffalo. I know you like Cincinnati, don't you?
Well, I just think that everybody's like the darling stuff with Buffalo. That's only going to go so far.
Yeah,
they still had to get on the field, and I think they were making too many mistakes in the last game. Now, you playing against a team with a 3rd-string quarterback, and you were letting them toast you, and you kept them in the game with the timely turnovers. The score was 31-34.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's way too many points. Way too many points. 3rd-string quarterback.
You think? Did you pick that score when you saw Skylar Thomas was Thompson was going to be the quarterback?
Well, there was a reason why. What was the line on the game? 13.5, I think. There's a reason for that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So one thing I did want to mention, here at 98.7 The Coast, we do obviously cover our local sports and our high schools. I did want to pass on a couple of scores from today in high school basketball.
Wait a minute. Were you officiating them?
No. Actually, I did one of them. Yes,
Go ahead.
I did. Wildwood Catholic's boys team lost to ACIT today, 60-51. There was a real good game down at Lower Cape May today. Ocean City won 54-46 in overtime. And in girls basketball, Wildwood Catholic was a 60-38 winner over Manchester Township, and Middle Township beat Donovan Catholic 54-35. And we have a high school boys basketball broadcast coming up on Thursday when Wildwood's boys team hosts Overbrook. So that's kind of a little bit going on in high school basketball in our area. And we talked about this where it's a pretty popular thing down here. We don't have a
tell me about that.
The winter time is kind of like the one time where people have some extra time and people are really into high school basketball down here, and our teams generally punch above their weight a little bit.
You did tell me that they're fighters.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting, and it's been a very interesting season so far on that. And in another girls' game too, Ocean City beat Camden Catholic. That was 2 of the best teams in South Jersey playing today. Ocean City won that game 45-38. So we are up against the break here, and we're going to come back with our final segment after this.
Birds,
and
go Birds.
Go Birds is right. And the Eagles coming up at 8:15 here at the Mudhen. They've got a good crowd here, but there are a couple of seats still available.
I was about to say you might want to get it. I just saw. Well, that's why I was looking over there. It was This used to be a metric system. A buttload of people just walked in.
Yeah, you're right.
It used to be a term in the metric system, buttload. But it was a bunch of birds.
That got taken out, I think.
It
got taken out. All right, so we're live at the Mud Hen here till 8 o'clock. Our next segment coming up. Hollis is going to hang out for the game, so stop on by. And you can get your pictures with him and some autographs and whatnot. And we'll be right back after this. This is Reality Check, the Ultimate Eagles pregame show on 98.7 The Coast. All right, we are back at the Mud Hen.
Thanks a lot.
I'm Brian Caniff alongside Hollis Thomas. Our last segment here.
I know you almost hung me out to dry there.
I did. I almost did.
It was almost a takeover early on.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Take over. And, you would have needed another Whisper of Cinnamon, I think.
Yeah, Whisper of Cinnamon. Hero Boy.
Yeah.
My favorite beer.
One of the great beers here at the Mud Hen Brewing Company in Wildwood. We're going to have a great crowd here for the Eagles game. It's a great place to watch the game. They'll put the sound on throughout as well. So stop on by the Mud Hen, and you can chat with Hollis. And the Chiefs did beat the Jaguars 27-20. So they move on, and they're in.
What do you think about the injury to that QB?
He came back.
No,
but he didn't look good.
But do you remember what I just showed you when he was throwing the ball?
Yeah.
And he was ailing. That ball skipped to him.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what are they going to do?
Exactly. So I mean, he's doing post-game interviews and smiling and everything else, but they're going to. Yeah, I mean, I would imagine. You think he gets an MRI tomorrow on that?
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. So who knows what's in there? I mean, they said the X-rays were negative, but that's not showing you everything with a foot injury.
Everything now. What is the foot or what is the knee?
I don't know that. So.
Yeah, because they just said lower body injury.
Yes, yeah, almost turned him into a hockey player. Lower body injury, upper body injury. I don't want to tell anybody anything. The whole thing with Eagles Giants. There's that cliche out there. So hard to beat a team 3 times in a season. You believe in it?
No, they beat us 3 times this season.
Yeah, that's right. They did.
beat us handily. They were just a better team that season.
Yeah.
And I think that's the case now. I think the last time I seen it done was when the Tennessee Titans beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars were 14-3 for one season in 1999, and all 3 losses came from Tennessee.
Wow.
And they were throttlers too.
Yeah,
especially the playoff game.
Yeah.
Playoff game was everybody was saying the same thing. You can't beat a team 3 times.
Right.
Yes.
This is a little strange though, because I don't think this happens all that often. The Eagles are actually playing the Giants for the 3rd time in about 6 weeks. Because they played December 11th and then obviously the game 2 weeks ago, and so it's kind of interesting that you have that at that point. So, as Hollis takes pictures with many more of his adoring fans.
Go Birds.
Go Birds is right. Okay, so what are your thoughts here? I mean, what kind of score do you think? What do you think?
I think it's going to be a hard-fought game early on because. Mainly because the Giants have built some momentum leading up to this. They had the confidence of the Week 18 where they're thinking that they're back. That wasn't the starters. Your starters, that wasn't you.
Right.
So the false sense of security that you guys gained. Kenny Galladay, that's his name. Kenny Galladay catching his first touchdown pass as a Giant off of a 2-year multi-million-dollar deal, and then going out and beating up on Minnesota Vikings. So they've got some confidence. So you're going to have to knock them back down to reality. What is one thing that, and we talked about turnovers. That's kind of obvious. Turnovers is the obvious thing.
What's one thing maybe that the fans should be looking for, that if this is happening, it's good for the Eagles? If what's happening, what's happening out there that would be good for the Eagles tonight?
Daniel Jones is running for his life.
Right.
If he's running for his life, if we're able to put the pressure that I know we can put on him, if we're able to shut up Saquon Barkley, because they've been talking trash. So, and they were talking trash mainly because of the final game of the season. If you want to rest your morals on that, and it wasn't even you, cool. But I think the one thing that the fans should be looking for is how the defense comes out. That should tell you a lot about how this game is going to go.
Right.
How our defense comes out. I think our offense is going to be cool because we got all the weapons back. We got all our weaponry back now.
Yeah.
We got Dallas Goedert back. We got the receiver core is good. We got Lane Johnson back. We got our 3-headed monster in the backfield. So it's really going to be kind of how does the defense come out and put them on notice that this is not your day. This is our day.
The Eagles clearly through the first, whatever it was, 10, 12 weeks of the season, the best team in football.
Right.
And then they kind of look like, and a lot of it had to do with injuries, kind of looked like they were leaking oil a little bit. And now that they got all their guys back, I mean, is there, because there's a little bit in the back of my mind that they could really lay the wood on them tonight.
That's in the back of my mind, too, because all the members of the band back, and we don't have any substitutes.
Right. Yeah.
He had all the members of the band back.
Yeah.
It's like, so
except for Maddox. That's it.
Except for Maddox. And I think the fact that we got CJ back will help out with that. That's one of the things I think with the 3rd and 30 play. You had Josiah Scott, who's playing both corner and safety. You had just moved him to safety from corner. So he has to have a different mindset, and he was supposed to be over the top of that. It's like, but him being a young kid, I don't think Jonathan Gannon made concessions for that. Instead of making sure that the quarterback got the ball out of his hands quickly and made a play and got off the field. But I think having a CJ back would kind of alleviate some of that.
Again, here at the Mudhen, and we're about to wrap it up in a few minutes. But the Mudhen is open all through the Eagles game tonight, and it's a great place to watch the game. There's a good crowd here tonight so far, and we know some more people are going to come in. They got 4 good TVs in the main room here, and they'll have the sound on and all that good stuff. And it should be a real fun night here at the Mudhen, especially if the Eagles happen to win this game.
What do you mean if? You been hanging with Anthony? Did you go up with What do you mean if?
Well, I'm with you. I'm with you. What's the path for the Giants to win the game?
I don't know. You don't get one.
I mean, if there were
okay,
one, what do you think?
If there were one, it would be turnovers and containing Jalen Hurts. If they get turnovers, and it's too many weapons to try to stop. But to slow them down, if they get their running game going and they hold on to the ball and keep away from our offense, that will make the score tighter than it should be.
Last week it was pretty obvious that Hurts was not running at the same frenetic pace and putting himself in areas where he could take a hit.
Right.
And I know, and you believe this, and there's a lot of people that believe this, that he's not 100%. But this is a playoff game. He's got to play with that reckless abandon, right?
Well, I think the final game of the season that we saw him, I think he was just trying to knock off the rust.
Right.
It's like, don't put yourself in harm's way, and handle business. Go out there and handle business, because you need to get some of those throws out. You need to get some of those reads out. And he went out there and he did that. He took a hit or two, but you don't need to take any unnecessary hits. Like I keep bringing this up when we had Carson. And we were playing against Seattle in the same situation. And they had one of the dirtier players in the NFL, in David Clowney. And Carson didn't get down when he was supposed to.
Right.
And we had McCown.
Took a hit that should have been called and wasn't.
Yeah, it should have been called. It wasn't. Because you can't expect him to make all the calls, especially when you're running. And then he put us in a position to have an old guy who pulled his butt cheek muscle. and limped us into a playoff loss. But if you look at the game, the last game that Jalen played, you know that he had the wherewithal to handle business.
I know it was only one game and it wasn't a very good game, but how much does playing that playoff game last year help Jalen Hurts this year?
Helps him out tremendously. Mm-hmm. Because if you listen to, and I know he's watched the film. And I know he's heard and watched the actual tape from the TV copies, because that showed the part where what they were saying about him, what the opposing defense was saying about him, and also about our defense and stuff. It's like when you hear that in a playoff game, you know that you have to do better. You have to be better.
What have you seen from him that, because last year there was questions on what he was seeing out there in his reads, questions about his accuracy. A lot of that got put to bed this year. What did you see? What did you see that was so much improved in him this year?
Everything. I think he's one of those guys who takes the coaching. That's one, and he goes out and he doesn't do any unnecessary practicing. Right. So he's practicing to get better, and he works on the things that he needs to. The one thing that I love about him is his demeanor and his decision-making ability. Mm-hmm. He's not often gonna make a mistake. So and you put that together with everybody's talking about the coach's son thing. I think it's more of him and what he's about. It's like, cause I didn't have the reservations you had. I told everybody from the get-go what he was going to be, mm-hmm. and what he had the ability to do. And it's because of the work he puts in, because of the time and effort he puts in.
Do you think that the experiences he went through in college, where he lost his job and played good soldier? I don't want to say played good soldier. He was a good soldier.
Yeah, that showed you.
And then he goes to Oklahoma and has a great year.
That showed you him being a man. Right. It's like when you do that and you come back and you don't win the job, it's like you want to get seen, so you know the other guy is going to play, and you come back, and not only that, during that season, the main guy, the new toy, went down, mm-hmm. and you come in and you lead them to a touchdown drive to help them win the game. It's like that shows maturity. That shows a real team guy that wants to win.
Jalen Hurts aside, give us a breakout offensive player. Well, I'll ask you defense too, but first offense. Give us a breakout offensive player for the Eagles tonight.
Dallas Goedert.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been gone for a little bit, and I think he's just coming back. He's just coming back from that injury, that long injury, but we haven't seen him in a while. So
you're thinking maybe a 6 or 7 catch night for him?
Yeah, a couple of touchdowns.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, how about defense? What do you see on defense? I got to think it's going to be one of the defensive linemen.
Well, it's somebody who got disrespected during the Pro Bowl.
are great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw the other game that he played against them. He was destroying them. A lot of the sacks that the defensive ends got was because he was destroying the middle.
Tying
they
people
tried,
up. Yeah.
Not tying people up to something, but when I say destroy, they were in Daniel Jones' lap. And then they tried to double team him, and that didn't work either. So I think he's going to be out to prove something. I think this entire playoffs, but mainly today because we haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah. So your final thoughts here as we wrap it up. I mean,
as we wrap it up, final thoughts is one of them is go Birds. Anthony sucks. You know what? I'm happy to see playoff football back in Philadelphia.
Yes.
Back with my Birds, and I feel like we're witnessing some great stuff. I was like, I don't know about everybody else, but this is the first season that I haven't had any reservations about the squad. The only reservation I have is about Jonathan Gannon.
I know. we could do a whole 3 hours on your feelings on him.
Oh God. So, but it's like this is the one time that we have a complete team, and I'm looking for a complete team victory today. The score I picked was. I think I picked like 35-17 or something like that.
Okay.
Because I feel like we're gonna be throttling them a little bit, and then they're gonna get that cheap touchdown in the end.
At the end.
Yeah. And then high five and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, so that's going to do it for us. It's certainly not going to do it for the activities at the Mud Hen. So if you're out there looking for a spot to go to watch the Eagles, you certainly stop by here on Rio Grande Avenue. In Wildwood, Hollis will hang out and watch the game.
Drink some more Hero Boy. With
exactly.
the Whisper of Cinnamon.
Whisper of Cinnamon. So that's going to do it for us. And for Norm Donahue back at the studio, for Sam Cohen, who was here, our on-site producer and engineer, set everything up for us and got us on the air, both on from the remote spot and also on the air here inside the Mud Hen. For all the great people at the Mud Hen and for the star of the show, Hollis Thomas, I'm Brian Caniff. Thanks for joining us. This has been Reality Check, the Ultimate Eagles pregame show. That'll do it for us here at the Mud Hen. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
And stay tuned for more